Jeff, of course, Mike Lubie, and it's always a pleasure to have this gentleman on the program because he's a good man and a great commentator as well, and was a terrific football player at both Penn State and in the pros with the Miami Dolphins. The great O.J. McDuffie joins us here on the show. The Dolphins are fast as hell. Yeah. I'm thinking, if this guy McDaniel has this innovative kind of Bill Walsh extrapolation that also involves the running game, and these offensive weapons obviously fit the puzzle very, very well, it could be very interesting to see a team just outspeed other teams. Just curious if this was ever offered to you in any kind of promotional thing or charitable effort, because I was a big fan of when like a football player would race against a thoroughbred racehorse. Bullet Bob Hayes did it. I think he might have beat the horse. Skeets Nehemiah, who, wow, where did he get his hands from? Nehemiah. Was that
oh, the man, I don't know. It's for Roberto Duran. You got to put Roberto Duran.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going?
Yeah, look at that handsome gentleman right there at the bottom of the screen. Morning, everybody. Great to be with you. A Degenerate Friday kicking off here on the Defo Show, South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubitz. And you could go with the theory, what a difference a day makes. As yesterday in the program, we had Mike Vaccaro on, the outstanding New York Post columnist, and he was talking about the state of affairs with the New York Knicks and the whole Jalen Brunson thing, which did come to pass. And also on our Believe podcast later on yesterday, and you can check this out by just logging on to BLEAV Network. We had Ron Rothstein talking about, hey, you never know what's going to happen in the NBA. And sure enough, one day later, you had a 180-degree about face with Vaccaro now writing a scathing indictment of Kevin Durant, who demanded a trade. And it looks like the Nets are going to capitulate to his desire. And, of course, the number one landing destination, according to most people, I don't know if it's going to happen, is the Miami Heat. And that certainly presents an interesting scenario that looked like it was completely out of bounds as recently as 24 hours ago. Well, we welcome you to the show. We had to juggle a few things this week to accommodate this man's busy business schedule and travel schedule, and we have the great Tony Segreto going old school with us for most of this first hour of the program. Tony, how are you, my friend? I see you're not exactly a front-running phony here because you were a Yankee fan before this year, which is great.
I was born a Yankee fan. Are you kidding me? When I was born, and I will reveal that as we speak here, I was born in 1950.
Wow.
And, yeah.
You look really young because you're then a year older than I am. I'm going to turn 71 on Tuesday, and hard to believe that you could possibly be a septuagenarian with that good-looking kid, young face.
Well, thank you for that. But in the day I was born, or the week I was born, day I was born, whatever it was the time when DiMaggio actually was offered the largest contract in baseball and turned it down and retired in 1950. And being of Italian heritage and living in northern New Jersey, all Yankee fans, my entire family Yankee fans, I had a DiMaggio jersey actually put in my bassinet. So, I mean,
wow.
From an infant, there's no question, absolutely no question. And then, serendipitously, who would have ever thought I would do work with the Yankees, cover them almost extensively when I first started doing baseball. And then, growing up with Bucky and Mickey Rivers and all those guys, and the ties just continued, and Gil Patterson, dear friend, and continued to the relationship. So it's gone full circle now. So yeah, absolutely not a front runner at all. Just good days, bad days, and all. But I will have to say real quick, I bow to Lubie. I thank you for adjusting literally on the fly. I got called to go to Vancouver. And it literally, I was in Vancouver 36 hours. So needless to say, it's been a lot of travel.
That's a long schlep to go
yeah.
like a day.
Yeah, well, on the way there, I got delayed. Fortunately, I made it, but leaving the Northeast at 5 a.m. in the morning and then not getting to Vancouver till 9 o'clock at night was a little bit of a long day.
You
But
could have
seems
gone
like
to
that.
Rome. You may as well have joined us on our
Amen to
Italian trip.
that. Amen to that. But all good, thank God, and we're ready to rock and roll for sure.
All right, well, good to have you with us. We had Mike Vaccaro on yesterday. It was interesting, and Lubie has an obsession with NBA free agency. I don't know how overwhelmingly interesting it was. I mean, a lot of the stuff that people thought might happen did transpire. You had a bunch of guys. You talk about the largest contract for Joe D. Imagine one of the most iconic athletic names and sporting names of all time, of any era. And I mean, as popular a Yankee, we asked Vaccaro if Aaron Judge could ever enter that level of popularity of the Yankee icons. And, naturally right now, he's riding the crest of an amazing wave, leading the majors in virtually every category, including all-star balloting and the most popular guy that you could possibly find. But when you look at these salaries in the NBA, I mean, Nikola Jokic just signed a 5-year,
I know,
$270 million deal. Now, it was always shocking when you would see some guy that you consider to be like a, not necessarily a scrub, but just a mid-tier player. And Tyler, who was the guy? Tyler Johnson, was that the kid's name? That was with
with the Heat.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he got like $50 million, even though he was,
Crazy.
an average ball player at, a few years ago from the Brooklyn Nets, I believe, signed him for that deal, and it was outrageous. He was a restricted free agent. You thought, wow, they're going to pay this guy $10 million a year to score 6 points a game. But now, I mean, how can you possibly fathom a guy? Here's an athlete walking around. He's literally worth $50 million a year for the next 5 years. And in Jokic's case, two-time MVP, in excess of $50 million a year, and 4 or 5 guys got that deal yesterday. It's incredible the money that's being thrown around.
How about left-handed relievers?
Yeah,
in baseball, same thing. I mean, these guys are pitching maybe once every 3 days for an inning, maybe just a batter, and they're making gazillions of dollars. It's absolutely incredible, and it's not so much the NBA because it's such a pop. It's still a pop, not where it was. In its heyday, the NBA was like, everybody was trying to mimic the NBA's PR, how they do business, right? They were all trying to do that. The NBA has slipped somewhat, but still, right there with football in terms of, popularity, viewership, it's right. But you said about baseball, it's like, wow, they struggle with viewership. They're struggling with attendance, and they're still offering these guys an enormous amount of money. And, when you mention Aaron Judge, we talked about this, how he turned down that contract and how could he do that? And on and on and on. And we said, he's betting on himself. What will happen? Well, how about betting on yourself? And look at where he is now. Now, will that continue through the season, and where will that lead them into postseason? And, the dream year, that fantasy year, how it ends. How that script ends for him if that's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, I think he's obviously going to make himself a nicer piece of change than he had on the table before by taking a gamble on himself. And it was a big gamble because he had a long history of injuries and struggled to play full seasons, as was the case with the departed from the Marlins, Giancarlo Stanton, who, and is shining now in like a secondary role because he doesn't have to be. The big guy, and he's just kind of drafted in there behind Aaron Judge,
which may be
having
good
a nice
for him.
season himself.
Which may be good for him. But I have to tell you this. So I want you to imagine this, because this is what I thought about. Just sort of fantasize on this for just a minute. The rumor is about Kevin Durant, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine the phone conversation? And you're not going to tell me it's not happening. The phone conversation between Durant and LeBron and Dwayne.
I'm sure they've all talked.
Can you imagine what that conversation is? What's it like to be in Miami? What's it like to be play with Pat Riley and Spoelstra? What's the fan base like? What's it like to live there? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we are a star town. Make no mistake about it, right? We love having those celebrities and those stars. Yep. And how well would he fit into this situation? it would be very curious to see. And certainly this will excite the fan base as you can watch them open the newspapers this morning and see what everybody's talking about. Wouldn't you
Well,
agree?
I mean, if the deal involves like Tyler Hero a couple of years ago, people were saying in his rookie season, and maybe again this year, now we should never get rid of this guy. But if you can get Kevin Durant, as you say, star-driven, and yet you realize that if they're obviously not going to trade Jimmy Butler, and he's going to love having Kevin Durant on his team. And if you have one other guy, even if Lowry, and out of shape Kyle Lowry sticks around, you have a pretty formidable trio there of people. Bam Adebayo, I would imagine.
Oladipo was assumed to be gone because he
Right,
showed
and he's coming around.
they signed him. They kept him. So it's like, okay, that's interesting,
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I would love to see Kevin Durant come to Miami. I don't care
Oh,
what
I
they have
would
to give
too.
up. We know that Pat Riley doesn't really invest heavily in draft picks. They may get rid of this unknown guy. We were kind of teasing Ron Rothstein yesterday when we were talking with him. I think he actually got a little irritated with us because we were suggesting that this draft pick was probably as significant as when they drafted. That they acquired in a draft day deal. And I remember, I don't know if you used to do these things, Tony, because you were probably. Maybe you were, sending somebody, out there to cover this stuff when you were the honcho there at, NBC. But I used to have to go cover for 940 Wins and WIOD the draft parties that the Heat would have, which was kind of a misnomer because in most years there was no reason to party because they didn't care about the draft once Riley got here. And they were drafting very highly for a few years.
Oh, I remember those days.
And so you go down to Miami Arena, you get some fan reaction, which is always a disaster. And the usual hoopla surrounding it just to get some ambient sound from the occasion there. And they traded with Utah. The Utah Jazz traded the rights to this guy, Martin Murasep.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I'm thinking, well, what do you do with that? I mean, has anybody ever seen this guy play? And they literally, on the big screen there that they had, when they usually feature some highlights of the guy, they had an artist rendering as if they had a courtroom reporter draw a picture of this guy because nobody knew anything about him. And I don't know. I guess he did step on the floor for the Heat for a brief period of time. But, this year's draft pick was in that category. And, I would think that Riley would be in a position to offer as much as the Nets could possibly want and outbid other suitors on a team that Durant has stated his preference would be either to go to the Phoenix Suns or the Miami Heat. And who wouldn't want to play down here?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know that it may take more than just a trade with the Nets. It may take a trade with someone else to get what you need to make the offer sweeter for the Nets. So those are the phone calls going on today. It's so funny when I got to Vancouver, I turned on the TV and what was on but draft day. And it's a campy movie. No excuses there, but it's fun to watch how these things work and the amount of effort and the amount of work and the amount of investigation that goes in to getting a player. And
is that Kevin Costner in that movie?
Yeah. And what your intel is?
Well, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. A little predictable.
No, it wasn't bad. Yeah. It gave you a little bit of a feel. Certainly not how it goes, but certainly a little bit of a feel, Hollywood to it. But it's kind of interesting. But listen, besides Kevin Durant, what in the world what a day in college football.
I figured you'd want to talk about that.
Lord.
Yeah. So what does all that mean to you, Tony?
We have
USC, UCLA jumped to the Big Ten.
Well, because all the schools, the Florida, like the ACC fans are freaking out, and I guess that's what you're supposed to because now it's telling you. And then supposedly Oregon and Washington later in the day petitioned the Big Ten, so they Pac-12.
Well, yeah.
So what ACC is the next thought a lot of people are having, and I don't know what to do with it.
There's always been insider talk amongst a lot of us that it's gonna come down to super conferences, and that's where we're leading. Because as soon as my son texted me, as soon as that announcement came through, he goes, "What do you think?" I said, "What's going to happen?" My first thought was not so much they're going to the Big Ten, but okay, that it's forcing Oregon to make a move.
Yeah.
What is Oregon? What's especially Oregon? Oregon came to mind long before Washington did, and it's going to force them to make a move. And how fortuitous that Mario Cristobal doesn't have to be involved in that decision making because he's set. Because the ACC still has juice. They still have Clemson, they have Miami, so they still have some juice left. And where does that go? But I see this coming into super conferences, bar none. I mean, just from what the TV revenues are, when you see what the TV revenues, the SEC is set. Okay, so now
You think?
we have. Well, I mean, I think they'll probably get somebody out of this deal. I don't know who that somebody.
Remember, Oklahoma and
Do they
Texas
need anybody?
going
Yeah, I
in.
mean,
Oklahoma, Texas
yeah.
going in, and like
Notre Dame may carry the biggest stick in this whole deal.
they have to.
You think also? What do you think, Tony?
Well,
Dame.
no, I think they carry the biggest stick because I think once all these guys get settled, all these teams get settled, then where do the Irish end up? Do they stay steadfast and go, nope, we're going to
stay right where they are?
Our deal, yeah.
Or
or listen, when you still have that kind of juice and that kind of power, would you not want to do that in terms of what you make instead of sharing it? Or do you have a better shot? You have a better shot at getting to where that promised land you want with even more dollars in your pocket by joining a conference. But I think this is going to be. I think you're right. I think Oregon and Washington will petition today, and I think that'll happen. And then now where do we go? The ACC, I think they're still sort of riding steady and saying, okay, where do we if we do land somewhere, where do we land and how do we land? How do we break this up?
Speaking of landing, I mean, this is old school, and we're conducting a little old school here on this Degenerate Friday with Tony Segreto, who qualifies as a degenerate, but usually joins us on Wednesdays.
You just don't know
I'm
a degenerate.
Exactly.
We didn't realize the level of your sickness, Tony. I mean, honestly, we did not realize it, and you pass it off well because you'd be the last guy you expected to be, pulling lint out of your pocket on a Tuesday after paying off the bookie on Monday. But
I tell you something?
I wanted to go back though because I remember this was a big debate, and I don't know how many discussions I had about this on the air, doing radio and TV here, and that was when. I guess it was Sam Jankovic decided to move the Canes into the ACC. And, the rationale behind it was that, while it might hurt the football program, but it's going to help out what was just an absolute bomb of a basketball program where nobody cared about it. And they weren't really of any significance whatsoever. And this was a program that they had restarted and rekindled. And it really was kind of, just fizzling out there as they just started the fire. And that was a big debate, whether it was beneficial for the Canes to go into the football aspect of the ACC. Now, certainly the basketball program has benefited. And, when they got Jim Larinaga, they were more consistently competitive as an ACC team. I guess Leonard had his success there also. But what do you think overall now? I mean, looking back on it, that was a bombshell story then. And yet now, I mean, do they find themselves in a situation, the Hurricanes, where maybe other options are something that should be considered?
I certainly believe that the other options will be there, especially if they have a really good year. First of all, when we left the Big East, and I say we because it's part of my heritage, but when we left the Big East, there was like, what are we doing? But because at the time the ACC really wasn't, it was all basketball all the time, 24/7. It wasn't about football at all. But look at the move was brilliant. And certainly, when you fast forward 15, 20 years, who would have ever thought looking in a crystal ball, it would be what it is today. And I think now Miami has to start looking and Clemson has to start looking and thinking about, okay, and you don't think Radakovich is thinking this already at Miami, where if forced to, where do we want to land? Do we want to go Big Ten? Do we want to land SEC? Do we want to face that battle? Or do we get more people joining us? Or does the ACC look and say, what about people that don't want to go to either of those conferences? What if just say for the, again, this is probably in their wildest dreams ever going to happen, but who's to say that Oregon and Washington may not petition the ACC? Will that happen? Come on. They're going to go. They're going to go with
Oregon
money.
and Washington. Think about how incongruous that is. I mean,
Well-
Oregon and Washington in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Well, of course, but listen, no, exactly.
I
But
was a
isn't
big
it-
Pac-8 fan too. I liked the
Yeah,
Pac-8 when it was,
me too. What about
its original constitution. There, it was a great league.
But listen, isn't when you think of Texas A&M and Arkansas and the SEC,
Yeah,
isn't that a little incongruous too?
No doubt. I mean, it's kind of like some of the divisional matchups and arrangements that you have in professional sports, where you'll have a team that is in Los Angeles competing in the Eastern Conference or whatever. But
Exactly.
But this is chaos now. Now, who's regulating all of this? And should there be some regulation? I mean, the NCAA seems to be an absolute non-factor when it comes to college football now. So who's in charge, Tony? Do you know?
No,
I don't either,
think I don't think they know. I think the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC they're doing it. They're all rogue. They're all doing it like they see fit. And I think the ACC made a big decision in breaking up the conferences like they did and making doing what they're doing now.
Yep.
I think the ACC is in a much different place than where we're seeing where UCLA and what they're doing out there. I just think the ACC is in a much better spot. Now that doesn't mean that won't be broken up, but I think they're in a much better spot. And
when does the Big 10 become the Big 14 or whatever they are now?
Well,
that's the other thing. That is the other thing.
Now it'll be 16. It'll be 16.
16. All right.
Yeah,
So they have 16 teams. They're going to have more divisions than the NHL has.
Yeah.
Inside of one conference in college football. All right. Overall, Tony Segreto, do you feel that this is moving in a positive direction for the fan, let's say, who besides obviously the schools are benefiting, the league officials are going to be benefiting, and television networks, who knows? I guess it's to their advantage as well. But what do you think? I mean, what does it do for the game? Anything that you can deduce from the these moves that are being made?
I think it has to go this way, whether you like it or not. I think it's just destined to go in this direction. I think that I hope, however this is developing, that at the end of it, we develop not only with these super conferences, but we develop a playoff system that walks in concert with these super conferences. So having just 4 teams just doesn't cut it anymore. If we're having these big conferences now, for me, then we expand it to 8? Do we expand it to 16? How do we make this work? And we can't keep using these, we don't want to impact the student athlete because they're going to be testing. Come on. Let's deal with it, and let's figure out how we deal with the fans, and let's figure out who's going to bid for these things. I mean, if we're moving in this direction, which we are, then let's consider the big picture, not just where we land in a conference and what that does for us in terms of dollars and cents. So to me, we're going in the direction we probably need to go. Do I like it? Not necessarily, because I think it kind of breaks up what. I wonder what it's going to do to rivalries. There was always that UCLA, USC rivalry, the SEC rival, all those different rivalries. Do they remain the way they were? Do they have that same kind of impact? I don't know. And does this now create new rivalries that we can even have more fun with? But listen, it's part of. We better adjust to. There's going to be a lot of changes all around all the sports, right? And we're just going to either have to learn to adjust to it or just bitch about it.
Yeah.
You make your choice. What do you think? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter to me anymore. It's funny because as a sportscaster, and you certainly remember this. I mean, it was important to know the name of every stadium.
Yeah.
And then they started changing names every couple of years, sometimes within the same season. You had cryptocurrency coming in, sponsoring arenas and all kinds of different entities. There was .com companies for a while, and it was impossible to keep up with. And normally you would take great pride if you were in this business. I mean, part of the structure of whatever knowledge you're supposed to bring to the table would be knowing which teams played in which conferences. And now I don't feel badly if no, they're in the ACC, Defo. It's like, oh, wow, when did that happen? I like the tradition, having covered a lot of football on the West Coast when I was living in California and first getting my deal going writing for newspapers. I covered a lot of USC and UCLA football and basketball, and I really enjoyed it. Like you mentioned, the rivalries were there. And you would say, "Oh wow, okay, UCLA, the Bruins are now going to have to play like Oregon and Oregon State in back-to-back games on the road." And we followed it on the local channel that carried the games. It was kind of like one of these offbeat channels like you would have in New York, where we're like WOR or WPIX carries the games. And I'm thinking, is Dick Enberg still with us? I want to say he checked out. He'd be rolling over in his grave.
Oh yeah,
the way I mean, because he was a big part of that coverage there of Pac-8 at the time, and
Keith Jackson too.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, like everything in life, everything evolves, and you come to accept it. I'm just thinking that eventually, you mentioned a national championship, and the fact that nobody's really a regulating body over what's going on anymore. I would hope that this doesn't turn out to be like boxing, where you end up with like 4 national champions, and you have a WBC and a WBA and an IBF and a WBO, and anybody that wants to start an organization can claim that they're running a national championship.
Well, here's my take on all of this. 2 things, maybe more than 2 things. One, changing conferences only impacts you and your team, right? If you're not a UCLA or USC fan, you go, okay, that makes sense to me. Maybe they need to, maybe. But if your team is one of those teams, you're going, now what? Okay, so there's a definite emotional tie to that.
These were linchpins, though, of the Pac-12 now. I mean, USC, UCLA, the 2 most recognizable programs in the conference.
Absolutely. Now, if these super conferences, here's my thought, if these super conferences happen, so you have 3 big conferences or 2 big conferences, then what do? You take the commissioners of those conferences and form a body that oversees all of these things. Because the NCAA... they're a joke. They're charlatans. What are they?
I think Mark Emmett's in Costa Rica right now, trying to figure out if he can establish residency.
Yeah, like where do you stand in any of this? Are you weighing in on any of this, NCAA? Are you concerned about any of this? Meantime, we're worried about NILs, and who's
it's chaos, my friend. It's pandemonium.
Yes, without question, chaos. Chaos to its finest. But I'm hoping that when this settles, and everybody moves where they need to move, I hope we then make a decision that the leaders of these conferences where these teams are get together and say, okay, we have to form some sort of governing body that's going to control this monster that we've created. Because if not, that chaos it'll not only continue, but it will get to the point where we can't even rein it in, because we may not be able to rein it in as it is now.
Did you ever meet Gordon Soley when he was doing wrestling down here? Championship Wrestling from Florida. Did you ever interview Gordon Soley by any chance, Tony? You did?
Yes.
Because I mean, he had the most descriptive word, to give you a little capsulization of what's going on, and that was, it's pandemonium out there. Yeah. And that seems to be what's happening. I tell you what, if you're looking for plans for July 4th weekend, a lot of people getting together with family and friends, and let's face it. I mean, you talk about the chance to go in there and buy some of the great steaks at Texas Roadhouse and put those on your grill. I mean, that would be, it's going to be crowded at Texas Roadhouse. You have that great opportunity with the app to not have to actually wait at the restaurant. Just get an assigned time, you come in, bingo, Mr. Segreto, your table is ready. But wow, how about taking advantage of the fact that you can buy their great products, and put them on your own grill for July 4th weekend.
And at a reasonable price with great product. I sat there. I thought of you, Defo. I get to Vancouver. I order
was there a Roberto Luongo statue there as you got to the airport?
Yeah, all over the place.
Yeah.
But I get there. I go. It was late, so I just ordered room service, and I got a salad and a piece of fish. The bill was $75.
Wow, where was this? The Ritz-Carlton? Was that room service?
And and I'm thinking, Texas Roadhouse. Do you think this would absolutely happen there? Not at all. This is the weekend to do it, folks. July 4th weekend. The weather's going to be great no matter where you are. It's going to be, regardless. It's getting the grills out.
Steaks, man. Wow.
Oh, my God. So you brush that grill off. You get good. To me, it's about a charcoal fire, not so much a gas fire. But you choose the fire you want.
Flavor bars, kind of make it.
Yeah,
make
you
it
have
work.
friends come over, and then you're going to have your chicken lovers and your non-meat lovers. But those of you, doesn't matter. Go to Texas Roadhouse yourself so you don't have to worry about it. Stand in line, get the app so you don't have to stand in line. So they let you know, hey, listen, we're 10 minutes out. Get over here. Or go to the butcher shop. It's what was that? We have to get that website. I got to make sure because we don't want to mess this up. But it's the Texas Roadhouse Butcher Shop. Go to their website, order steaks, and I am telling you, I have done it. Defo hasn't done it yet. I don't think. I have done it, and it is remarkable. They come in dry ice. They come in a big cooler. They're about that thick. For those of you not watching us, it's at least 1.5 to 2 inches thick. They'll each one steak will feed 2 people easy.
Oh
So
yeah.
you got 4 or 5 people, right? You get a couple of these steaks, you are all set. You get them on the grill. You get some sweet potatoes. You put them on the grill. You get some vegetables. What more could you possibly want? And if you want, you can get takeout from Texas Roadhouse, including their amazing sweet potatoes.
I'd grab the sides right there at Texas Roadhouse
Yeah,
on the day I picked up
exactly.
the steaks. Yeah, why even bother cooking those? I mean, they do
Exactly.
a better job.
Exactly. Plus, you can pick up the bread. I mean, come on. You could pick
Yeah.
up the bread, and they cover it up in such a way that when you get home, it's still hot.
No, nobody honks bread like you do, Tony. I have to say, man, of all the things that you're great at, nobody can sell bread. I mean, you have Italian roots because bread is obviously a big part of their eating culture.
I have to tell you, well, when we have time, I got to tell you a story about this bakery, these bakers in Vermont who laugh at, and my wife laughed at me because, I eat bread, but I don't eat bread a lot. I do, but
Yeah.
I buy more.
You make a
bread
lot of bread though, which is great.
Let's hope we continue that.
Well, and including with a fine affiliation with Texas Roadhouse.
But Texas Roadhouse is the way to go, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it for July 4th weekend. I know it's already Friday, but go online. You can figure it out, or call Texas Roadhouse and get it and pick it up and bring it home. It is more than worth it. You don't have to worry about it. You sit by your pool if you're in South Florida. You go by the lake if you're in the Northeast. Whatever you want to do, it is the way to go. They are great people. They will take care of you. Let them know that Lubie and Defo and Tony Segreto sent you in, and we will be ready to rock and roll with all the things you can get at Texas Roadhouse. Don't forget their sizes, as Defo said.
Do you get our message board on your setup there, Tony, from the audience? We've just received like 4 messages from some site that's advocating that we plug into their nudity here.
Yeah, what is that? I just saw that.
I'm thinking it was a prank from like Lenny the Chronic or something. No such luck here. We're getting like scammed here by some sex website. All right, more with Tony Segreto. More old school with Tony Segreto. We're doing this on a Friday. You can always get Tony on Wednesday.
Excuse me, are we going to send the end of the commercial we just did for Texas Roadhouse with that little naked thing there, Lubie? Are we going to?
This is just what's happening.
You're going to cut that out before you get to end, right?
It's modern day communication. It's like the evolution of these conferences. I mean, you just have to deal with it. All right, Tony Segreto, old school. Usually on Wednesdays from we do this 8 to 9, right? On Wednesdays with Tony Segreto. It's always great. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services as well. And we will continue more with Tony here on this Friday, a Degenerate Friday. The professor's going to join us. Mike Mayo dissed, like he sent me some horrible pictures from a restaurant that I really liked yesterday.
What restaurant?
I have to get into it. It's a place called Dada in Delray Beach. And,
he didn't like it?
I've gone there several times. Honestly, Tony, I mean, it's as nice an experience as you can have in a restaurant. The food's always good. Service is great. Nice atmosphere. It's in a perfect spot there right by the Delray Beach Tennis Center in an old house. And I've been there maybe, a handful of times, maybe a half a dozen. Never had anything but the highest of praise. Felt great after the experience. Mayo, this sourpuss, I don't know what happened. I mean, maybe he caught him. I can't imagine they were having a bad night, but he was horrified by everything. Horrified.
Did you say this was in an old house?
Yeah, it's like a house,
Is
that's
it in
turned into a restaurant.
It's Delray Beach?
Yeah, Delray. Right after you get past the tennis center, like if you make a left there on, what is that, Swinton? It's right there on the left side. And very popular, always crowded. I mean, a very popular spot.
Here's the reason I ask. Did you do any history on the where that is? Because there was a trilogy of restaurants that were extremely famous and popular back in the 70s and 80s. All 3 were 5-star restaurants. There was Casa Vecchia and a few more that that were old. They were all in old houses. One was up in Broward County, and I wasn't wondering if it's that same facility, because it was, first of all, the experience of the home, the setting was gorgeous. That in of itself was worth going beyond the food. But,
well, there's another place called the Sunday House that also was traditional in that fashion. I'm curious. You probably remember this joint. It was one of my favorite restaurants ever that I've ever been to, and it was in Miami when I first moved here. I was turned on to this place called Tony's Casanopoli.
Oh yeah,
man, that place was great.
Yep.
That place was great. And it's been out of business here for a long time. I think the guy retired, made a lot of money, but nonetheless, I mean, one of the all-time classics, Tony's Casanopoli. It was either Tony's Casanopoli or Tony's Casanopolis. I'm not sure if there was an S there, but
I don't think there was.
Right up there with Joe Stonecrab's, in my opinion, as an iconic South Florida restaurant. All right, well, you got Texas Roadhouse. They're all over the place.
Hey, listen, they are the best you can go. I am telling you, for the price, for what you're getting. And not forget, I don't even have to say that for the price. The experience, the entire package, from how you're treated to what you eat to the price point, you can't beat Texas Roadhouse. End of story.
Yeah, and the bread's good. All right, we're coming back with more. We're going to make some bread here on the show, and then more with Tony Segreto, a little old school on a Degenerate Friday. That's Mike Lubie Lubitz. I'm Jeff DeForest, and back with more on South Florida Live in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:35. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
By the way, you sound great. I don't know how good I sound, but you sound great.
You sound
great.
really good, Tony. Better than I've ever heard you before, really. Even when we were the regular radio gig there with the Comrex and all the fancy equipment that we had. Lubie set this up last night with a bunch of tape, and he had a couple of paper clips here. Things are falling apart, and yet it sounds
some
brilliant.
bubble gum. I got it.
Yeah. we couldn't be happier than to be doing this. No,
I'm
Cincinnati.
honored.
I knew they were going to clobber everybody the rest of the way. So laying 30 didn't really hurt me that much. And then I did believe it or not, I used some Segreto logic and came up with Syracuse getting 6 in their ball game, and they managed to lose in overtime by 3. So we covered there.
Look at you.
Yeah,
I love Syracuse in that game. I truly love Syracuse.
I don't know how you could love them.
I
don't know about love.
You are such a degenerate.
Love is a strong word there, Tony.
Let's put it this way.
They lost to Florida State.
I know, but they caught me up even, so I'm happy.
Oh, very nice.
No response. No response. I'm not actually.
Well, I don't know. You're dealing with another bookmaker. I don't know.
Yeah, you're lying.
Category, Tony. When other guys are getting 3 points, you're getting 11. I mean, it's crazy.
I got in the Syracuse game. We're talking about 6. I got 15.
Exactly.
That's what I thought.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course you got that. It's like you've died and gone to heaven, and the rest of us are in there facing guys like Lipschitz every week with the usual demands that make sure you're not late on Tuesday. It's like, shut up, Louie. You know what? I'm
You
sick of
sound
dealing
like-
with you, and I pay every week.
Defo and Lubie love kicking it old school with the legendary Tony Segreto. Big thanks to Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
I had a little epiphany yesterday on my walk of life. I was staggering my way through the 4 miles that I try to navigate every day in just blistering heat here in South Florida. And I thought for a second, I walked by and there was an open space. And welcome back to the show, by the way, the Defo Show. We got Mike Lubie, Lubitz, Tony Segreto going old school with us. And I'm Jeff DeForest. Also, for the record, Mike Mayo says he's not a sourpuss.
I know.
I'm curious to see what happened to him last night. Because honestly, I mean, it's fine. I'm sure he's being honest about it. He doesn't make this stuff up. But he said he sent back a plate of spaghetti, which I find, doubly horrifying, because this is a guy that literally picked up the plate at Skyline Chili of spaghetti, badly made spaghetti. I mean, spaghetti that seemed like it was still frozen, and gargled with the Skyline Chili plate. I think what do they call those things? Like the 4 for 4 or whatever. I mean, they're named after transmissions. Yeah, because they should be. Yeah, the four-way. So I'm curious, but he says he's not a sourpuss. That he was.
I saw the message.
Honest about that.
The message.
And it is true, Tony. I mean, you. And this was part of my epiphany, and this is the reason I started going in this direction. And I walked by. There was an open space. There's several open spaces where you see the ocean as I walk up A1A. And I thought about my mom and dad, and I was thinking, geez, I got a birthday coming up, going to be 71. I'm on borrowed time, and if I come upstairs there and meet them behind the pearly gates, I had the horrifying thought: what if heaven is not all that it's cranked up to be, Tony? What if that turns out to be the case? Now that's a dark philosophical standpoint to take there, but you are living like it's heaven on earth with whoever it is that is booking your action is either criminally insane or they love you so much that you get the benefit of every point spread. It really is incredible. I love that about you. I really do.
We'll have to introduce you to them one day.
I don't believe this guy exists. I really don't.
I'm not making it up. How could I possibly? First of all, how could I make that up? And B, why would I make that up?
I don't know.
And
You're an honest guy. You're the most honest person I know. I mean, I don't think you've ever, even stretched the truth in your lifetime, which is a great quality. It's very admirable, Tony. Believe me.
I do the best I can. Listen. We live in this world. People have asked me, this is no joke. People have asked me, how in the world did you survive 40 plus years in an industry where, it's a dog eat dog industry, and what industry isn't a little dog eat dog, right?
Well, it was mostly management versus talent.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
The people that were on our side of the business, the so-called personalities or performers, whatever, the talent, in Miami especially, it was much more of a cooperative effort. I think, the people here were very easy to work with, all of them. And that's why I think we have so many friends like Mike Mayo and Dave Hyde and all the people, Sarney, that were in the newspaper business. And there wasn't this, big sort of dog-eat-dog thing that was going on maybe in a city like New York or Los Angeles among media members.
Well, I could tell you this, and I hope I'm right. Maybe I fooled myself. But one of the things that I prided myself in was getting the respect of the scribes, getting the respects of the Dave Hydes and the Michael Mayos, because there was always this sense that the TV guys, they just show up and
glamour boys, man. You put your makeup on and they feed you a script and you go, hey, look at that. I think the Knicks are going to win it all this year. It's like,
I
sure,
always felt that there was a deep respect between Mayo and myself, and Hyde and myself, and the people we worked with. Because we all worked hard at it. We just didn't show up. We were visible, a lot more visible than the other guys, but we did our work too. We showed up and we went to work. I mean, Ed Pope and I had a great relationship, and and I always felt really happy and proud of that. So when I see now, and you're right, it was really management and talent But in our world, it was management, and not just talent, but management and their thought of where sports belonged, right? Because at a time when we were thriving, and then some of the new management came in and they go, "Oh, people only care about weather," and you go, "Are you kidding me right now?"
That's the funniest thing. I mean, to go to the weather within 3 seconds on all newscasts now, Tony. You can appreciate this, having done all of the aspects of the television news and sports business. But I don't need that right away. I mean, they'll show you like some horror that's going on in the Ukraine, and the next thing you know, there's Trump saying this girl's a liar. But before we get to that, okay, here's the weather, and it's the same as it was yesterday, and will be tomorrow. I mean, we're in the summertime here in South Florida.
Exactly. No, exactly. And I just think that now we have gone way beyond that. I think sports, maybe on a local level, just isn't what it used to be. You know, it's not good anymore in terms of locally. Here in New England, there are a couple of Vermont stations that have zero sportscasters, none.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, what's going on there, man? Like a T-ball competition? They don't even have kids in Vermont anymore, right? Isn't everybody old up there? Is that like the modern day Hallandale?
No,
like a rural Hallandale, I think.
No, not at all. It's very young. It's a very young state, and it's hip. It's a very hip state. They don't need hips. Most of them don't need hips, but it is a hip state. But I think that now sports on a national level and has grown so much. I mean, my daughter, for example, works for NBC Sports, works for Sunday Night Football. She's one of the assistant producers for Sunday Night Football, and they have been working nonstop for the Sunday night games for the last 2.5, 3 months.
Wow.
And they will continue to ramp it up. The things that she's doing every day to get ready for games, and implementing ideas that they're all using and sharing it's remarkable. It's remarkable, the effort and the time. And the NBC, for example, is not just doing Sunday Night Football, but they're the production team behind the Amazon product on Thursday as well. So it's amazing how much work and how much effort is going into what's happening on a national broadcast level, and what ultimately the country sees and hears on Thursdays, Sundays, Mondays.
No, I had great admiration. I mean, it was funny as the so-called talent and/or announcer. You go into a live truck, putting a boxing match on. It's pretty much shape up day of. I mean, the truck would pull in there, and they would start hammering out everything. And you're looking at the maniacal amount of work, and pace that you had to keep up to get ready to do this live show. And then, our end of it was pretty easy by comparison, no doubt about it. And the people there, you always felt like, hey, I got to treat these people right, because they did like 100 times the work that I did to stand up there and go, "Hey, good evening, everybody. What a fight card we have for you tonight." Meanwhile, this guy's been crunching like a Chiron or whatever that was, to put the graphics together for like days.
Well, it's funny you said it, because that's what I still tell people today. Like when I speak around the country, and like I just did in Vancouver. And people will come up and they'll go, it was nice seeing you today, or whatever the case might be. I tell them, listen, we had 34, however many people put this event on that you never know or will never see. We represent that brand. We represent these people who have worked their tails off every single solitary day. So when we stood up there, we weren't only doing our job, but we were representing and branding the people who work so hard. And for us to do something to mess that up, shame on us if we don't put our best effort and get as prepared as they were. And they are. So
I was usually thinking, am I going to get paid tonight by this promoter, or is he going to fly to Coop?
Maybe it's because they were working for people like that. Maybe that has something.
Hey, that's the boxing business, man. That's part of its charm. I mean, I love the seedy underside of virtually everything. All right, there can be a seedy underside, it seems like, to the healthcare business, and I'm sure that there isn't a single person listening or viewing the program today that hasn't had like just a horrifying negative experience when it came to some kind of medical, thing, whether it was to you or a family member, and whatever it involved. I mean, it's just a nightmare rolling around to 7 different doctors to, find out that all you needed was a checkup in the first place. Catholic Health Services, wow, a no-nonsense organization. And honestly, Tony, I mean, we talk about it all the time, and it couldn't be any more true that you will never find a more professional organization in the healthcare field than Catholic Health Services.
Simply put, to your words, here it is. When you deal and do business with Catholic Health Services, this is what you get. You get top of the line doctors, nurses, therapists, administrators. Not only are they top of the line, they're compassionate, they're understanding. They know that it's not just the patient that they have to deal with, but it's the families themselves. So it's more of, okay, we're going to do the work with the patient, but we're going to do the work and education and stay informative to the people, the family that's involved. And 3, we're going to make sure that we're going to get your loved one up and around quicker than they would have ever thought, and hopefully with our expertise, better than you've ever had before. So you've put all those components together with the unmatched skill and absolute passion for what they do. You've got an extraordinary company, an extraordinary business that is totally unmatched, because all the other ones may have we're all good. We talk about this all the time. They're all going to have the gee whiz, wow, I have this new machine that, will only register 5% of your weight if you're coming through a hip surgery or whatever. And then on and on and on. They have all the great equipment, but do they have the great, not just skilled, but compassionate people to run that equipment? Do they have those people who will call you and go, hey, your father, your mother, your grandfather, your grandmother, whatever, aunt, uncle, they had a great day today. They walked 20 steps. If we continue to do this, they may be home sooner than later. You get those calls all day long. Who does that? I can't think of anybody. Listen, we're still going through this with a family member on my wife's side. We still can't get answers, and I'm banging on the table here because it's just remarkable.
You went Nikita Khrushchev on this thing. Unbelievable.
Well, my shoe's still on. But finally, at the end of the day is this. You get the best service. You get the best medical care. You get people who are caring, compassionate, do their work with a passion. They make you feel like you are the only one there. And during their time of taking care of you and your loved ones, you are the only one there. Catholic Health Services, a special place. We're honored to have them as part of our family, along with Texas Roadhouse. We're very blessed and very fortunate.
All right, Tony Segreto, very fortunate to have had you on with us this week.
Now, can I ask one more question?
Yes, sir.
One more question. If I want to listen to you and Mayo coming up, and for those of us, again, I'm not quite sure how we do this now. So can you fill me in?
So Lubie makes a face
YouTube,
when he gives this.
Google South Florida Live, Facebook South Florida Live, Facebook at SoFly Live. Also, I will just text you the link, and then you just click the link and subscribe, Mr. Segreto. Subscribe, and then once you subscribe, you get updates every day when we have anything coming up.
That'd be awesome. Listen, I love you guys. Lubie, again, thank you for making the adjustment. I will be normal next week. Well, as normal as Tony Segreto can
I don't know about
be.
that, Tony. We'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, well.
This is Deshaun Watson, the arbitrating judge there, trying to make a decision.
Happy 4th of July.
All right, happy 4th of July. Be careful out there. Does your dog get nervous with fireworks? My dog hates it. One of them, really can't stand it. Cowers in fear.
Regrettably, we had to... we had to move our dog to doggy heaven.
Oh, and that's horrible, Tony. I'm sorry to hear that. I really am.
Yeah, it's that's not easy.
No, there's no way. My dog's getting. We don't know how old he is because they lied to us when we got him from the rescue place, and they told us he was 3, but he certainly was older than that. And we've had him about 8 years. So I mean, if he was 6 or 7. He's in the twilight, but he's still in pretty good shape. Although, he's like me now. He's losing his hearing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's happening to you. I always wear my headsets at the highest possible volume.
Yeah, me too. No, I'm in the same boat.
And then I was a drummer as a kid, which, your ears would be ringing for days after a show.
The hardest thing with an animal is the biggest angst is making the call. Right, making the call that something needs to be done.
Very, very, very difficult.
And ours wound up getting sundowners syndrome.
Yeah, you can't watch an animal suffer. I mean, you just have to say, hey, look, this isn't going to get any better. Is this as good as it gets? That was that great movie with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. But in his heyday, this fireworks
bothered him. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
God.
All right.
Well, we
Happens
love
to
you,
a lot of
Tony.
dogs.
Enjoy your
We love you,
fireworks.
Tony, and I mean, all the best to you. I know, that's a horrible thing to experience. It really is, and very, very hard to get over. No doubt about it. All right, Tony, we love you, and I'll talk to you again next week. Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen, old school. All right, we're going to go from there. I mean, this will be a radical departure and a change of directions to have the professor with the big board coming up. And then Mike Mayo, I'm very curious to see. I can't imagine. Lubie, you ever have something where somebody tells you something and the guy's credible, right? It's not like he's making this stuff up, Mayo. I mean, he doesn't go out of his way, I think, to give any restaurant a bad review. I think he
No,
tries
he's
to be
honest.
as objective as possible, right?
No, he's honest. He's very honest.
His taste may not be the same as everybody who's reading or hearing his advice about a place or his description of what went on. But honestly, I would go back to Donna tomorrow. This restaurant that he had just an absolutely excruciating, painful experience at, or so it seemed last night, where he sent back. Who sends back a dish of pasta at a restaurant, especially a food critic, right? And he's on Dick Steen's dime, so it's not like he has to worry about it.
That's
the thing, like he's going to say, well, I didn't eat this, so I want my money back. And I can't imagine this, Lubie. This has to be, this has to be one wild story.
Yep, I can't wait. But up next, the professor's power rankings. Oh, I'm sorry, the professor's big board. Professor's big board, and it's an interesting one this week. So
you have inside information as to what it pertains to?
You'll all see coming up next.
I would imagine the professor, he'd be as good as anybody to talk to about this whole. I don't know what it means to him, the USC, UCLA to the Big Ten, but there's no bigger college football analyst and better than the professor. So there'll be a lot of good fun coming up here on the show. Stick around, and Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, will describe what is a baffling, horrifying experience at what I think is a very good restaurant. Coming up on the show as well. And I hope he's going to be punching later on. Speaking of, how could it be a Degenerate Friday without angling for position somewhere at a bar at a pari-mutuel facility and punching away on the horses? And I have a small complaint, Lubie, and I'll get into it with Mayo. He would appreciate this. The New York Post, it's July 1st, right? It's Bobby Bonilla Day, where Bonilla gets $1.1 million from the Mets until 2035.
Yeah.
What did he hit? Like 160 for the Mets? This was the greatest contract negotiation since those brothers got a piece of the NBA television contracts into perpetuity. Those guys that owned the St. Louis. What was the St. Louis team called in the ABA? Spirit or something? I don't know.
Yeah, no.
St. Louis? It's always a Spirit. Anyway, this Bobby Bonilla Day. He gets his check today from the Mets for $1.1 million.
Yes,
even though he hasn't played for him for like 20 years. It's fantastic. All right, so a lot to get into. Professor and a big board coming up in just a moment here. Hialeah Park, great place to go. Always talk about Hialeah Park in the highest of praise and hyperbole because it's applicable. It really is true. Go there. It's going to be a great weekend of thoroughbred racing in the Champion Simulcasting Room. They have a big July 4th thing coming up. This would appeal to Mike Mayo because everybody's looking for a bargain on food right now. And you could go out there and spend like a lot of money and throw a party at your house, or just go to the party at Hialeah Park. And I think, Lubie, they're having like $3 hot dogs and $5 burgers. And these are like some big, fat, juicy burgers. Not some schmenky thing that you're going to get at a fast food stand. So, and they do it right when it comes to food and drink there. So, going to be a big wild celebration on July 4th. That's Monday at Hialeah Park. They're open till 5 a.m. through the weekend, and gives you plenty of time to go to the casino, play some poker, and just have a great time with a lot of great food and drink and an atmosphere that is unparalleled anywhere in the casino business. The casino, even if it was a hopping in New Orleans, it doesn't compare to the vibe that you get when you walk into Hialeah Park, even on like a Tuesday in the middle of the day. It's just absolutely fantastic in there. You're going to love it, and we love talking about them. Great people to deal with over the years and make you feel like family when you visit beautiful Hialeah Park. Professor coming up next for his weekly visit here on a Degenerate Friday. I'm Jeff DeForest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz here on South Florida Live, and back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:58.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
This has been great because as cold as Jersey Kyle has been with his degenerate stimulus package horses, this man has been on fire with Australian rules football to the point where people are calling him Crocodile as he joins us here on the show. The Crocodile himself, the professor, now 14-8 in documented picks on Australian rules football. Professor, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Defo. In fact, not only am I 14-8 and picking Australian rules football, I am 6-0 in Australia's favorite national game. Is this or is this not a night?
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie. It's the Defo Show here on South Florida Live, and among the most popular segments anywhere in the streaming world, and growing exponentially with each passing week. And also with amazement each passing week that he can keep coming up with this stuff. We are joined now by the professor on a Degenerate Friday. Professor, how are you, my friend?
Not so great, Defo.
What happened now?
You know, every Friday I come on, I'm trying to lighten things up, make a little bit of fun. And, today, in the words of the great Casey Kasem, I'm here trying to do an up-tempo number, and I got to come out on a freaking dedication of a dead fucking dog. Can we get Don on the phone?
That's a big
I want a
turnaround.
concerted effort not to come out of these goddamn up-tempo numbers, and I got to do a dedication to a goddamn dog dying.
I know you have great empathy for Tony in
loves
this
dogs, that's the
situation.
thing.
Yeah, you're a
I
big
love
dog
Tony.
lover.
I love
yeah.
it, but you
I think he
can't
loves
deny
them.
the
No,
parallels,
it was
like,
a rough way to end the segment, but
to the great
it was my
Casey
fault because I
Kasem
asked how the
segment.
dog was on 4th
That
of
was
July like a
random.
fool, not knowing that Tony's dog was 17 2 years ago when he told us
We're
about
trying to do a damn dog dedication. We got to come out of a goddamn up-tempo number. They do this to me all the time, man.
it.
R.I.P. Casey
Hey,
Kasem.
man.
I love Casey Kasem.
No, I
think
mean,
everybody our age grew up with Casey Kasem.
That was one of the great bits of all time, man. Frequently played on the Neil Rogers Show, but just a classic piece of material anywhere that you found it. All right, Professor, you'd be as good a person as any, as we've said coming into the segment here, to talk to about this. I mean, what, if any, meaning does this have, this defection of USC, UCLA, the two linchpins of what was the Pac-8 many years ago, and obviously two marquee teams in the conference. What, if anything, does all of this mean? That they're
Well,
now part of the Big Ten?
Like all internet shows, we probably got issues with licensed music, but it's a pretty simple answer. I think Lubie will know it, and that's cash rules everything around me.
Yeah.
Cream, get the money, dollar bills, y'all. Yep. Look, I mean, college football has been ruled by finances for quite some time now, decades.
Yeah.
It's sort of what drove the two independent Florida programs, Miami and Florida State, down, and it's getting more severe. And now you have basically two super conferences, and the SEC has a lead, and they have some excellent resources, the most fertile recruiting land in the country, probably some of the overall best coaching staffs in the country. huge stadiums, rabid fan bases. But now you're seeing the Big Ten's counter move to that is to go after television markets. And now in a sport that has always been dominated regionally in terms of television ratings, they've picked up the second or first, depending. Seems to bounce back and forth between that and the New York megalopolis, which is the biggest TV market. So either the first or second biggest TV market in the country. And you look at it, they've got Chicago, they've got Ohio, which is an expanding area. They've got the Detroit metro area, and now they've got added Los Angeles. I suppose you could throw in like a Kansas City there with Nebraska. The Big Ten really is dominating the large television markets. And not that I ever see New York City becoming Rutgers country, but if it were to ever happen,
Greg Schiano, don't underestimate.
yeah, well, I mean,
Greg
I know
Schiano.
for like 5 seconds there, New York City was actually pretending to be in Rutgers football, but that hasn't lasted. The Big Ten probably can make a pretty good run at that SEC television package, given the markets they're in now. And this is a huge addition. Plus, we all know the Big Ten has always taken pride in their academics, and both USC and UCLA fit very well into that model. Two high prestige schools in terms of that. And, look, I think with Lincoln Riley, we're looking at a very good chance for USC to become a powerhouse again. So they get into that mix with Ohio State and Michigan, and possibly, like a Wisconsin comes up every few years. Michigan State comes up every few years. So you got a nice mix in terms of the power of balancing out some of those annual powerhouse schools in the SEC. Basically, if Ohio State can ever get its shit together at the end of seasons and not, lose by 30 to Purdue randomly once every other year and get knocked out of the playoffs, if they can get to where Georgia and Alabama are in terms of year in, year out in the playoffs, the Big Ten's becoming a very legitimate rival to the SEC.
Wow. All right. Strong stuff there, the professor. And, as Gordon Soley would say, there you have it, right? That's the second Soley quote that we've relied on here on the program as well. Were you a fan of championship wrestling from Florida, Professor?
Bears are natural wrestlers, Defo.
That's the best one. The Bears.
Actually, it's an interesting story. When I was a little kid, we lived in Jacksonville for about 3 years before I started going to school. And next door to us in the apartment complex we lived in, there was like an apartment that was rotating stewardesses. They would fly in, they would fly out. There was actually probably a dozen or more of them that lived in the apartment part-time.
Well, what a dream situation for a kid.
And Gordon Soley was dating one. So about once every other week, Gordon Soley would pull up in his Corvette with his ridiculous bare piece. I'm 100% serious.
Was banging
You've never told us this. This is amazing.
But Gordon Soley used to, when I was a very small kid, date one of my neighbors, and he and my dad would have a drink in the front yard while they waited for her to get ready. Back in the days in the 70s when you did that kind of thing, you randomly sat out with your girlfriend's neighbor and smoked cigarettes and drank whiskey in the front yard.
Let me tell you about the situation.
Simpler time in America.
The situation with young Ken Jacobson. Yeah.
No, I
this
love
man is destined for greatness.
Championship wrestling from Florida, the great Kevin
great.
Sullivan and Dusty Rhodes,
the Funk Brothers.
A League Town match and had to come back as the Midnight Rider.
Yes.
And my personal favorite,
it was
Mr.
hard to
Wrestling
detect that was
#2.
actually Dusty when he was the Midnight Rider.
Yeah, it was very difficult. It
Same
didn't look like a
flab hanging
blonde
over his
guy
shoulder.
in a black mask at all.
Same cellulite. All right, you want to pick some games? Go to the big board. Which direction
Actually,
you want to go
after
in,
last
Professor?
week, no, I don't want to pick games.
Oh, really? Now, is the
We were
USFL still ongoing? Because I almost bet your games. I was in New Orleans. I didn't
Good
realize
thing
they
you
had sports
didn't.
wagering.
Yeah, that's probably
And,
what happened.
I know you liked, you were not so high on Birmingham, but that line came down a little bit.
It did. I ended up passing that game, but we lost the game before, and we lost on Oklahoma in Game 1 of the College World Series. So,
you know what?
the gambling gods were against us, Defo.
I weren't you winning that first game with the Generals?
Yes.
Weren't they well up and looked like they had the game in hand?
They struggled, and then they got up late, and they got the ball back. They were already covering, but they could have put it away with a touchdown. But they went either 1 first down and punted, or 3 and out and punted, and punt return for a touchdown to beat them straight up and beat the spread.
It's strange watching a football game, with 3 people in the stands. I mean, literally.
It is.
I mean, and one of them is Donald Trump at the Generals game screaming, "I used to own this team. I used to own them." Incredible. I mean, but
although Big Ten fans better get used to that when they go out to play UCLA.
Yeah.
Be a big transition for them.
9
play
a.m.
in front of
post time for that game.
9 a.m. start with like 14 people in the crowd.
All right. No games. Okay, so we're going
No,
right
I'm
to the
kidding.
big board.
We're going to pick a game.
Okay, good.
But 0-2 last week, not good, kind of
Yeah.
ugly. But basically, Defo, we only got one game left for a while now, until the start of at least the NFL preseason.
Preseason football.
I'm not even crazy about that.
Yeah.
But that is the USFL championship game on Sunday. We got Birmingham laying 4.5 to Philadelphia. We're looking to go out on a big bang, so we're going to go all in on a big bet and take Philadelphia on the money line at plus 165.
Right. Wow.
So we are going all out for our.
Would they bring back
pick here.
Jaworski or something?
We like
What's going on?
Case Cookus actually looks really good since he became the Philadelphia starter. And we're going to hope to ride the right hot hand.
What's his
there.
name? Tookus? What is this?
Cookus.
Is it really
Case-
Cookus? You're such a
Cookus.
liar.
No, it's Cookus.
Cookus, not Tookus.
Cookus. Like there's a Cookus in the shed.
I was going to say, what an asshole every time he made a bad play.
So yes.
All right, you were saying what now?
Cookus and the
Cookus.
Philadelphia Stars on the money line plus 165. We're going all out for our final pick of the USFL's inaugural season. But from what I understand, actually been doing very, very well, shockingly so in the TV ratings. So I would expect a USFL season 2, despite the fact that there are only like 4 people in the stands in the game in Birmingham, because they're like, hey, we're doing good in the TV ratings. We don't give a damn about the crowd.
It's really weird. I mean,
We'll play this in Defoe's parking lot as long as the TV
on the Palmetto,
people
as they
keep
used to
showing up.
say. Yeah.
Yes, as long as you're willing to bet on it and keep watching this crap on television, we don't care how many people show up for the game.
It shows you that people should get out and do more things with their life. All right, the big board.
Quick college football, since we were on it.
Yeah.
Because this is the one that intrigues me with this story that Miami's paying a good but far from great recruit $9.5 million in NIL money. What the hell is Arch? Yeah. If this kid is worth $9.5 million, what the hell is Arch Manning worth? I feel like Arch Manning's NIL at this point has to be more than his rookie contract in the NFL. I'm not joking.
Honestly.
I mean, if this kid's getting $9.5 million, I have to think with his name, with his uncles, with his connections, Arch Manning, $100 million is not unrealistic.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
No. He'll be bumping Serena out of that Subway ad. Now it looks like she had too many sandwiches before she got to Wimbledon.
Did you bet that, by the way? I saw
no,
and I was
not.
really stupid and passed on it. Did we
I
look
was so
up the odds?
convinced.
Do we know what that was on the money line? That
it was plus
10 to 1
230.
anyway.
Plus 230.
Wow, that was only plus 230?
Yeah, I thought that was a little short there because you were taking a big
who
chance.
Never won a match in a major? She was only plus 230?
I think she had won. I think she had won a slam match. Maybe I don't know. Yeah,
1 second.
Okay, so she had
but her style of play
in a major.
And she won her second round match, which really baffled me because she was playing a girl that I thought was much better, and in much better shape than Serena was. But I mean, her style of play is something that you would think Lubie would use, like almost a joke, where everything is a slicing Vegemanic type of shot here, and you're thinking Serena.
Is that what you picture Lubie's game look like? I've never seen Lubie play tennis, so I don't know what Lubie's game
I just see him as a Vegemanic player, a guy that's slicing and dicing, and doing
I feel
all
like
kinds
you're
of crazy stuff.
disrespecting Lubie's tennis game with absolutely no evidence.
He said he played on a high school team. I don't believe it. I mean,
okay.
I'm thinking the first ball he hits goes over the fence.
Didn't we go through this where Lubie claimed to be a great bowler, and we all said, no, that's bullshit? And then it turns out he was actually a really good bowler.
He beat like Don Carter, he claimed, when he was a kid. No, I don't know. I mean, he may be a great tennis player, but
disrespecting Lubie with no evidence. And then
I see
about it.
Lubie's first shot laying somewhere by the paddleball courts, and it's one of those deals where you're on court 12, so you would have to go all the way outside the grounds and around. So now you're waiting for somebody to walk by with their dog and start screaming at the person, "Yo, little help!" And that's a bad way to start a game because now you're down to either 2 tennis balls, which makes it really, really difficult. You're chasing them down every time you hit a shot, or you're waiting for some schmeck to come by, throw this ball back in.
I feel like Your
does it with
rough
every
and tumble
sport.
style is being disrespected, Lubie.
He does.
I
All
see Lubie as having like that hustler
I'm like
ground stroke
Chang.
game, like
I'm
a
like Chang. I get after every
Michael
ball, I
Chang.
hit
Like,
hard.
yeah, he's
Michael
not
Chang,
actually,
slicing and dicing, like I
not
said.
actually good, but he runs down everything and annoys the hell out of you until he
That's
wears
what
you
I
out.
I think he hits everything out. I really do. All right,
Okay.
let's go to the big board. And we'll have to take on a Lubie challenge then. Me
Okay,
and my
well,
big
he
mouth.
beats us.
Maybe he beats me. It's possible. I mean,
All right.
you
Well,
know,
no, I think we need to get some odds. I may take action on Lubie there. I think Lubie, you would
say
think
Lubie
you
will
would
be,
just going to have a chance here.
I haven't played in like a decade, so
I say he has zero
Are
chance.
we going
Absolute.
2 sets or 3 sets? Because I feel like
No, 2 sets, and Lubie, if he doesn't lose both of them, then I lose the match.
okay.
If he wins one of the 2 sets, I deserve
Okay.
any amount of shit that you could throw at me. That's for sure.
Fair enough.
That I would say with confidence at this point, because I mean the guy hasn't played, so
I haven't played in
what are you
over
going
a
to do?
decade, honestly.
Maybe he
Okay,
comes
Defo.
back. If he played like a couple of times a week, he might
Oh
be
no, I'm
good.
gonna
I
start
don't know.
training now.
He's got the legs. He's
No
got the
training.
legs on you.
This is on tomorrow.
I can't train. I can't.
Professor, come on out to the Pompano Tennis
can't
Center. We'll get
train.
Lubie down there. We're all white too, Lubie, like you're at Wimbledon. I don't want
Yeah,
to see you in some
exactly.
schmato-looking outfit.
I think you got to try to find a grass court, Lubie. Wear him down with the fast strokes because
there you
Defo likes the clay.
No, we'll only play Lubie on the clay court, and that is my condition. In this match, I'm Conor McGregor. I'm dictating the terms.
Okay.
All right, let's get to the big board. We have to get to it because we
Over
got
big
Mike
board.
Mayo on hold here, and
right.
he's ready to go. So
Yeah, I feel
let's
like I
roll.
have to issue an
Preface it.
apology because I
Please
feel
preface it.
bad about last week's big board because I didn't know that 25 minutes after I ripped women's sports, I didn't know that shortly after I did a whole big board ripping women's sports that the Supreme Court was going to ban Roe v. Wade and take away women's rights and make it a sad day for women throughout America. So I issue an apology. I didn't mean to do that. Women's sports don't need to get ridiculed just because they're terrible. I generally apologize for that. And keeping things in the spirit of lightheartedness from now on, I'm
Yes.
going to avoid that kind of
After
thing.
the dog dying
Oh,
story.
no.
Yeah.
Yes. And that leads to this week's big board, which is the big board of abortions in school prayer.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, well, touch on a sensitive
Yeah,
topic.
very
here on the show.
lighthearted,
Yeah,
very
very
simple.
lighthearted. Yeah, abortions in school prayer. All right,
Because, we got a lot of things going on in this country.
Video this.
Defo.
I'm so scared to video this.
I get you. Yeah.
And one of the things going on is that America is now being ruled by a whole group of Ned Flanderses. And I don't know how often you've watched The Simpsons, but throughout the years, they've put several episodes where Ned Flanders gets to be in charge of shit, and
Yeah.
it never works out, ever. It always turns out bad. And so what are they doing? They're trying to make America into a whole group of Tim Tebows. And Tim Tebow, excellent college football player.
Yeah.
And I'll freely admit, probably a better human being than I am. No, not even probably. A better human being than I am.
Maybe.
If you're looking about who's a more moral and sanctimonious dude, it's Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
But there's a reason that nobody their party ever. Think about it. The guy's known for football. Would you want Tim Tebow at your football party? Would you want Tim Tebow at your Super Bowl party? No, because at some point he's the dude who can't stop talking about you. At some point, your Super Bowl party is going to turn into a church session. And that is what, unfortunately,
People start leaving
ruling
at
class
halftime
seems
before
to
the
want
food.
to happen is a group of Ned Flanders and a citizenry made up of Tim Tebows. And there's a reason, if you watch The Simpsons or if you watch college football, that everybody hates these people.
Yes.
These people as a group,
Honestly,
they're terrible. They suck. That brings us into the big board of abortions in school prayer. And are you ready to start the big board?
Yeah.
oh, that wasn't even the beginning.
That wasn't even the big
Sorry,
one?
we're
Okay.
not actually doing abortions in school
okay.
prayer. I'm not that much of a monster. Our
Big board of
actual-
stupid steroid excuses.
Our
All right.
actual big board this week is to celebrate the start of the Tour de France, the most cheating and steroid-ridden sports competition in the history of humanity. And so we're going to celebrate this week the big board of stupid steroid excuses that athletes have done throughout the years.
All right.
I just wanted to
Very
give you a little
appropriate.
start with the big board of abortion.
Oh, that was great.
I was like, oh, Diva's gonna love this.
Yeah. I was wondering
So
where I was going to
everybody-
go for, to number one if you had Tebow down there at number 5. But
We had a big board of stupid steroid excuses. And we're going to start with number 5 from one of Defoe's favorite sports, the world of tennis. And that is 1998 Australian Open champion Peter Korda, who, after getting caught with performance-enhancing drugs, PEDs, claimed that he got it because he likes to eat too much veal. And the medication that they give veal when they're being raised caused him to fail a steroid test. Now, I don't know about you and how familiar you are with the way they raise veal, but the one thing they're not giving veal is fucking steroids. They lock these poor baby calves alone by themselves so they can't move and they don't develop any muscle whatsoever. But this guy thinks they're pumping them full of steroids, and that's why they failed the steroid test.
Pretty poor excuse there, Mr. Bonds.
Particularly from a guy from Germany who, back in the 80s and 90s, I think would be exactly familiar with how steroids worked. He would probably have quite a bit of knowledge about that, but somehow thinks he caught them from veal.
His roommate was a chemist when he was going to the tennis academy.
Exactly. All right, that takes us to number 4. And
no, that's a good one. I mean, too much veal. You're absolutely right. I mean, the way this stuff is raised is horrifying enough.
I mean, Defo, an athlete will get popped for steroids, and the story is so ridiculous, so stupid that you almost kind of have to believe them.
Yes.
Because who the hell would make this up? And that takes us to number 4. Ryan Braun. I'm not taking steroids. I'm taking herpes medication. It made me fail.
The Hebrew hammer.
A steroid
It's herpes.
test.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Again,
very nice.
I think of all the things you can make up about your steroids usage, the one thing you're not going to admit to is that you've taken it because you've got the herp. That seems like it's going to limit a lot of things in your life outside of baseball that you very much enjoy.
As a chick magnet, too. I mean, chicks dig the long ball, and Braun was knocking them out of the park in a wild proportion. What you would expect. Yeah.
Even the Schickses in Milwaukee loved Ryan Braun at that point.
Exactly.
But not once they heard that the reason he failed his PED test was because of herpes medication.
He came up with a lot of good bullshit, too, right? With that UPS driver thing. I mean, that was a pretty strange cockamamie story also.
I just feel like this is a case where I actually believe the guy because I don't think anybody's going to say, it's not steroids.
That's a very good point.
I've got herpes.
Good point.
And honestly, herpes, you made up a pretty nasty one.
That's the worst one, right? It never leaves you, right?
Like people, I might have said I failed it because of my chlamydia medication because nobody really knows
it's a deal breaker.
Chlamydia does anymore.
Who knows? It can be a deal breaker for some good sex, I would imagine.
I would hope so. If it's not a deal breaker, I think you got to wonder what the hell is wrong with her. If you tell her I have herpes and she's like, yeah, I'm good to go anyway.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
I'm not sure that's a situation I want to be involved with.
There you have it, as Gordon Sully would say. Probably said that to you many times as a young professor. Yeah. I can't believe you knew Gordon Sully.
I didn't really know him. I was like 3. Give me a break. Number 3. I need to explain something because a certain group of people have been in denial for a long, long time about this.
Yeah.
A particular subject. Number 3, with their steroid excuses. No, your head does not grow 3 sizes.
No hablo
your late
English.
20s and early 30s. For those who don't remember, David Ortiz did in fact fail a 2003 performance-enhancing drug test. And then claimed it was because he didn't speak English very well, so something he had bought at GNC must have contained steroids. Now this whole they be putting steroids in my protein shake thing that a great many athletes tried. Now David Ortiz put a little spin on this. Steroids are expensive, people. GNC's just not going to randomly drop steroids into your whey protein bottle.
No way.
That costs $15 for a 55-gallon drum.
Yeah.
They're not just randomly dropping some horse drugs in there. It doesn't work that way. You got to spend a lot of money at the gym or the pharmacy in Tijuana for your steroids.
This is straight from Mexico City, man.
And again, David Ortiz, with his hat size of 8 3/4, it's not normal for your head to keep growing into your 30s.
Yes.
Like, I know that the Boston Red Sox fans, no, the Mitchell report said no Red Sox ever used steroids. Manny just started using them 3 seconds after he got traded to the Dodgers. No, they were using steroids with the Red Sox. They're using a lot of steroids with the Red Sox.
More Boston cheating scandals.
Again, look at his head.
Yeah.
If Linus from Peanuts had gotten to meet David Ortiz, he would have been right, because that is the great pumpkin right there.
Always an interesting aspect of the steroid use denial when you would see like Bond's head be the size of a bowling ball. And now it's back to what it was before, which is great.
And that takes us to number 2.
Number 2. All right.
This one might actually, we have to different number 1 out of Celebration, but this one might actually be my favorite one. And it's interesting because it is on a day we were talking about USC, and that is former USC and Houston Texan linebacker Brian Cushing, who, as you can see, went from this on the left during his sophomore year at State to his junior and final year at USC on the right. And then, after getting Rookie of the Year in the NFL, when he tested positive for steroids, claimed that his doctors had discovered a unique medical condition in his body where, because he worked out so much and so hard, his body began to mimic the effects of steroid use without any steroids. He called it overtrained athlete syndrome. Overtrained athlete syndrome, which only existed in the body of Brian Cushing.
First time ever, yeah.
I assume they named it overtrained athlete syndrome because Cushing's disease was already a thing. It's a horrible disease you die from.
Doesn't
so the name was already taken. He had to make up a big, dumb, stupid name to go for his syndrome that only he had. Not even J.J. Watt worked so hard.
Yeah.
That he got overtrained athlete syndrome. Just Brian Cushing.
I don't see any juice involved there in a before and after picture.
Right? No.
How would you possibly deduce that, Professor?
He goes from having gynecomastia to Lou Ferrigno. But no, there's no juice here. Just hard work.
1 year.
Dedication, desire, and hustle.
And that's in a few years, right? I mean, that's not like...
That's in 1 year.
In 1 year.
1 year. 1 year.
14 months. Sophomore year to junior year.
Nice. Yeah, that looks normal. I mean, I wouldn't suspect anything there.
No, again, it looks like very normal growth. And that brings us to our number 1 stupid steroid excuse of all time.
All right.
And this is number 1, not just because he said it, but because all of America desperately wanted to believe it and continued to believe it for about 15 years. And that is Lance Armstrong. Cancer made me a much better athlete. I got cancer, and it was like being a superpower. What the radioactive spider was to Spider-Man, cancer was to Lance Armstrong. I got cancer, and I came back, and I was like 5 times
I got better. Yeah.
And everybody in America somehow believed this and continued to believe it
Wear
for
a yellow
more
ribbon.
than a decade.
Yeah.
I wore the fucking yellow thing for like a long
I-
time.
Unbelievable.
How much did we hate the French, and how stupid were we at this time that we legitimately believed this guy when he came out and said, yeah, I wasn't that good before cancer, but then I got cancer, and I was like 10 times, I breathe much better. My VO2 level is much higher. Cancer gave me superpowers.
All of a sudden, he's blowing by Bernard Hinault, some
Right.
guy that was untouchable, like Elliot Ness.
Miguel Indurain.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy. And he was cruising to victory after they still had 3 stages left, and he was already drinking champagne as he was
Like
going
the
downhill
first
on the
time
Pyrenees.
trial, he'd win by
Yeah.
like 45 minutes. Then jump off the bike and go, cancer, yeah.
I got the big C.
That was
Honestly, he should have probably worn a shirt with a big C and been Cancer Man
Yeah.
under there.
He was great, though.
Amen.
His denials were, so defiant. It was fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But again, the greatest part about the Lance Armstrong thing isn't that he came up with this stupid story. It was that America bought it. Can you imagine if Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens came out and said, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I had cancer. That's why I'm so good in my 40s at baseball.
I'm undergoing dialysis right now, but I'm probably going to hit 75 this year if I get a chance to get out there. Yeah, exactly.
I got the Lance Armstrong cancer. That's why my home runs have gone up by like 25 per season.
Honorable mention to Tiger Woods.
It's the reason I can
also.
throw 102 at age 46. Yeah, sure, Roger. Sure, Barry.
Can we throw an honorable mention to Tiger Woods for that Dr. Galia stuff where out of all of the physicians that he could have had treat him, he somehow contacted this guy in Canada who was wanted and been indicted in 4 different countries on various drug charges.
My favorite, who was Dara Torres's doctor.
Yeah, when she came back at 70.
Who was doing like those Tybo commercials when she was 65 years old and beating the holy hell out of Billy Blanks. And then made the Olympic team while collecting Social Security. Yeah, I went to her doctor.
Odd fact about
Billy Blanks is in the corner cowering with a black eye.
Blanks is schwitzing. He's worn out.
Because he sparred with Dara Torres for 35 seconds and she jumped up and did a reverse kick in the face for him.
Dara Torres, fact, she at one time was a bowling color analyst with our good friend and former Pompano racecourse bowling announcer on CBS, the great Gary Seibel, who now is calling harness racing at an outpost of harness racing that even I would probably be reluctant to bet on Cal Expo.
Was she crushing bowling balls with her hands in between?
That was a great story when she came back at 70 and won.
Looked legitimate to me.
After being out of the sport for 40 years. Right?
Plus, it's like it's like tennis. It's a sport where you're over the hill at like 23 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
She was like 40.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think she was older than that. Anyway.
Katie Ledecky's like 19. She was talking about how she's aging her way out of the sport.
Exactly.
All right, Professor, what do you have going for the 4th of July? Anything happen at the Foundry, your fine restaurant?
We'll obviously be having some specials on Monday for a celebration. I don't know if we've got them on the board yet, but, go out and check it out. Have a great 4th of July weekend. Blow some stuff up, drink some beer. That's what we do here in America. And, enjoy your freedom while you have it, because
exactly.
It's
come next
quick.
4th of July, I'm not sure if we're going to be allowed to drink anymore. So, except communal wine.
That is celebrated in Havana. I mean, because that's what we're going to be doing.
When the Supreme Court endorses forced tithing next year, you'll be regretting that you didn't blow out on the 4th of July this year.
And all your dogs are still with us, right?
Yes, they are.
As are mine. So that's a good thing.
You can go into an up-tempo number.
Yeah, we don't have to throw Mayo a big curveball there.
Randomness. So your dog.
That was my fault, though. I walked Tony into that thing.
What
I really
doing?
did. Yeah. Dog died 6 years ago. We have Dick Enberg still living, but Tony's dog.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
All right, Professor.
I'm glad I had to come into that one.
You knocked it out of the park, right into abortion. Good job.
You took us out of the park here, so that was great. All right, thanks for being with us, Professor. Always a pleasure.
You have a great one, guys.
Professor, wow.
Okay, so good.
How about bonus coverage on the big board today?
I know. Well, no, he told me. He's like, "This is what I'm doing." I'm like, "Oh, that's gonna go over well."
Abortions in church prayer.
I'm like, "These was gonna love that."
No, and then I see the Tebow up there, so naturally, I knew it was going to dive into, a very macabre level of humor. I wouldn't say it was macabre because, Tebow it's amazing. The single most amazing thing, I mean, you talk about dedication to a cause, right? Or a belief or some example of faith in something that, is very hard to define, like what the hell is going on after this life is over. Right? Yeah. Maybe, like I said earlier, Lubie, you think about this. What if heaven is not all it's cranked up to be, my friend?
I don't know. I've never really thought about heaven too much.
Is that reason to be more of a degenerate now? Okay, if you're worried about like your stature with the big man.
I don't know. I don't worry about that shit. We're here now. Let's enjoy this. Is my mentality.
This is it. I really believe that. This is it.
I agree. I actually sort of believe that too.
I don't think there's much going on after this. As I said, if there's simulcasting in hell, then what do I care? Either direction is fine with me. All right, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, he can appreciate those philosophical thoughts and the kind of existential nature with which we're going to introduce him. I can't believe he had a bad experience at this restaurant. So I'm very curious to hear about that. Yeah. No, he was not a fan of the place to begin with, because he had that usual, you know the face he makes when he wants to categorize a place as a tourist trap?
Yes, yep.
As if tourists, have just notoriously bad taste, right? I mean, I guess they could, certain places are set up to just lure them in.
Yeah.
But I don't think these places are, right? Like Acme Oyster House, I don't think they set it up and said, hey, you know what? Let's put some really cheesy food out here, and this way we can attract more tourists. Those suckers will buy anything. Because there are too many other options there. I mean, you can go across the street, for God's sake, and find a place that's, in some people's opinion, equally good.
Yeah.
No? So you got to really be good to attract a big crowd. I believe.
I agree. I don't run the tourist spots because of lines, but I never discredit them. Like, there's a reason they get popular. It's just they get so popular, like Yogi Berra says, that place is so crowded, no one goes there anymore.
Nobody goes there anymore.
At some point, you're like, okay, I'm sure they're good. Like, that's my problem with Dumont. Like, I actually like Cafe Beignet better. First of all, there's never a line, and I actually like the way they do their beignets better. But I get going to Dumont, so I did it with Shirley the last time, and we did it. We waited in the line, it was fine, but I'm not going to do it again. Like, I'll do it, knock it out.
No, never. I mean, I would never go back there.
And that's my thing. Like,
there could be nobody there, and I still wouldn't go there. I mean, it's overpriced and overrated. It really is. And there are a zillion other places there.
Well, they all do beignets. It's normal.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
All right, well, I'm curious to see what happened with Mike Mayo yesterday at this fine restaurant in Delray Beach, Florida called Dada. He had, whenever I brought it up, he used to kind of like smirk a little bit. Did you notice that, Lubie? He won't admit it. He said, he'll say, I didn't make a face. He made a face. Made a face. Clear cut. Sound like Larry David here. You made a face.
Yes, you do.
All right. Speaking of that face, it's going to pop up on your screen here pretty soon. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, going to join us. We do have to get Mike Mayo, and if he makes a face when he goes down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill and tries the Italian fisherman pizza, then I don't know. I mean, maybe it's time, like Kevin Durant said to the Nets yesterday, maybe it's time we part ways, huh? You brought back that nutbag Kyrie. You think that's going to satisfy me? I don't think so. I want to go to Miami. I want to play for Pat Riley. I want Jimmy Butler to be this metronomic team cultural presence, and I'll just go out there 30 feet away and just pump jumpers all night long. How great is it? And then go to like Paramount 12 or one of these spots that all of the celebrities like to gravitate towards. They may not be going towards Dada after Mike Mayo comes on the show, but genuinely, you can't go wrong at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. It's mile marker 104, Overseas Highway in Key Largo. A great spot. I mean, July 4th weekend, you don't think that's going to be dynamite down there? You know, they're going to have bands all day long, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, it's just a tremendous atmosphere, great food and drink, really good vibe there. They have the sports bar there. That was renovated about a year ago and remodeled, and really did a dynamite job on that. So it's a great place to go and watch whatever events you're taking in over the weekend. Yeah, I think I'll watch a doubleheader, right? Marlins doubleheader. Can you imagine, Lubie? The pleasure of sitting back and watching 18 innings of Marlins baseball. Be unbelievable. Not to denounce it, but 6 games under 500, not much. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, though, that could take all of the sting away from your team having a bad year or whatever it is that you're experiencing in life. I mean, if you really want to have an uplifting experience and a great dining adventure as well, it's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. All right, he says he's not grumpy, says he's not a sourpuss. We'll see, right? As the judge said yesterday at that hearing with Deshaun Watson, I'll be the judge of that. Exactly. And we'll come back with the Gambling Gourmet here in a moment. Now that.
The time.
I hope he's gambling today, too, out there. I expect him to be punching away. It's 8:37. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. Now, a lot of people like to bet soccer. You are looking at the Euro.
I'm a soccer fan. I spent part of my junior year abroad at the London School of Economics and Political Science. How I ended up...
It's a little sophisticated for people that are on our show.
To be on
London School of Economics.
My career has taken strange
yes,
and mainly downward turns, but it's okay. I'm very
You can live with it.
comfortable.
Just be who you are. That's the name of the game.
I am living my best life,
Burying yourself
and
with this show.
betting my worst bets.
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubitz, and it's a Degenerate Friday. We always feature the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, who also can be seen on South Florida Live at noon every day with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, where he really delves into and dives into the food scene, the dining landscape here in South Florida. Does a tremendous job. Was doing that for the Sun Sentinel for many years. And, oh, you're going to do it? Wow.
That's later. That's for the lunchbox.
Oh, that's for the lunchbox. He's got the hot dogs.
Segment on it. It's a whole
I don't know if I'm going to do it, Defo.
How you feeling? You all right? I mean, after last night?
I'm
What
okay.
happened?
I mean, well, there's several things at play here. First of all, good morning, gentlemen. It's a pleasure
How
to
are
be
you?
back on the Defo show. I'm well, getting ready for the big holiday weekend. And I was thinking it's Degenerate Friday.
Yes.
You want me to stuff, like, what's the number? 7.5? So
No, I
8?
have you. You said you could do
Say
7. We had the number higher. I thought you might. The over/under should be 10 and a hook on this.
Well, the
I'm
thing
not
is-
sure if you're not going to do the technique though that they use in the hot dog eating
makes it
contest
harder.
of dipping the bun in the water to make it
Makes it harder.
soggy and easily more digestible or going down easier. Then I don't think you can do 7 in 10 minutes.
I don't. I'm not into dunking the buns in the water. That's just.
But
gross.
that's the way this sport
I
is.
know that's the
contested.
way they do it, but I'm
Yeah.
not Joey Chestnut, and I'm not getting compensated for my efforts. I did want to place a wager on it because if it's Degenerate Friday, I would think like give me a number, and if it's 7 and a hook, I'd have to eat eight hot dogs.
I don't think you can eat 6 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
With the buns, like in a proper
With the buns,
way,
yeah,
with
yeah.
a little
I don't
smear
care
of
if you don't.
mustard or something.
You don't have
like
to put anything on it. I mean, just 6 hot dogs. In a 10-minute span. If you can do that. I'll put the number. What do you think, Lubie? Is that a fair number? 6 and a hook. How about that?
I would go 6 and a hook,
Over
and then you do over under. 6 and a
Well,
hook.
this happens to be convenient because I have my 3-pack of Hebrew National hot dogs.
Okay,
and
and those
believe it
look
or
pretty
not-
thick and rather
Those are like
lengthy.
real dogs.
No, these are real
This
dogs.
isn't some
and
mini dog.
and
yeah.
they're kosher, so it's good for
All
the
right.
Shabbos tonight. And but they sell them. Hebrew National comes in packs of 7. So I guess basically
Packs
what's
of
the bet-
7.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
okay.
used to be 8. There's 7. There's 3 packages.
So you got 21
of
hot
7.
dogs there.
There are
in case you
21
really go
hot
big.
dogs in here,
All right.
but I'm not going to be doing that. But if I grill up a full
Are you going to
pack of
boil them
7,
or grill them?
No,
Boil
it
'em
has
or
to
grill
be
'em?
grilled. Has to
Grilled.
be grilled. That's the
Okay.
good. And I've got the flavor bars going on my
Oh,
rubber,
nice.
so
All right.
gives it a nice little tinge. And so I'm thinking you're basically saying if I eat like a whole pack of 7 hot dogs
Yes.
in the buns, what do I get? What's my
We're even.
reward?
The Tropical Acres is off the table.
Yeah, the Tropical Acres deal.
Awesome.
You're out of that. bet that you had with the
Now we're
Panthers.
But
talking.
if we win,
No,
If we win.
no double or
Yeah,
nothing.
this is
No
not
double or
Well, what do you mean? So what's at stake for us here? What are you, Kevin Durant? You're unbelievable. You want your money and you want out at the same
You just
time?
get sadistic enjoyment out of watching me stuff my face after,
This will be
eating-
great, though, because you've done it enough times to us
Right,
where
correct.
now it's on our terms, where you're actually competing, for something of value. And I think you have to put something up. Why would we give up
I am not
our
putting
dinner at
anything up.
Tropical Acres, one of the great restaurants anywhere in the world, which you owe us both now from this ridiculous wager you made on the Panthers, being an
I'm
anti-Panther
putting my
guy.
health and well-being on the line for you
You said
guys
you
for the
do it.
sake of
For entertainment. I mean,
Yeah.
You see
you're
what I
like Nick
done?
Walenda here. I mean, what is
Three
this?
times.
What are you going to walk between two buildings next on the show?
We're gonna have to figure this out. Yeah, I'll be a flying Walenda soon. So, hey, can I go on a sports harangue for a minute here?
I did want to ask you something though before we got going here, because this
Okay.
applies to your newspaper expertise. And one of the things I loved about the Sun Sentinel sports section is you could name any number of sick degenerates that you would find at the track. Certainly Dave Joseph, Tom Jicka, always a presence there, was a TV critic. You, Mike Mayo. I don't know if there were others, but my New York Post, one of my go-to things in the Post is the Belmont entries every day. They list the entries. They don't give you, it's not any past performances or anything, but I can get a general spectrum of, what's going on that day at the track there, and if there are any races that kind of stick out that I might want to take a deeper look at. But they have a handicapper, Vic Cangelosi. I don't know if you've ever come across Vic Cangelosi. He seems like a very nice guy. And nice to see him making the picks. Who made the picks in the Sun Sentinel? Did they handicap horse racing? And who was making the selections? Because Jicka did dog racing for many years for the Miami News when he was there.
It's funny you bring this up. It's a dear departed friend of mine, Richie DePacio, who was Bonnie DePacio's late husband. Bonnie was like the Radar O'Reilly of the Sun Sentinel sports
She's
department
still
in the
very
heyday.
active. Yeah,
Bonnie, left the paper a long time ago, but she's always on Facebook and she's everybody's friend, and she's like one of the world's nicest human beings. And she was kind of like what they call the she was like the executive assistant to Fred Turner, the sports editor, and she did everything and made sure everybody got their expense accounts paid. And
did she ever question the expense account?
No, she was great.
Wow.
Usually when it was
it's always a welcome thing to have that by a person in that position.
Bonnie is an angel, and she did many different things. Very talented woman, and a journalist too. She also did occasionally write some stories, and she did some copy editing. And anyway, but Bonnie's husband Richie was a one of us. He was a degenerate, good friends with Franny LaBelle. I don't know if you ever knew Francis LaBelle.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah, well, Franny is up in Saratoga now. He used to work for the Daily Racing Form after he left the Sun Sentinel. Fun fact: Fran LaBelle left the Sun Sentinel, and his vacancy, that opening, was the one that led to my hiring. So that was
one man gathers what another man spills.
And I'm always indebted to Fran LaBelle, and I saw him last summer up at Saratoga. He's good friends with Tom Durkin, the former race caller extraordinaire, and got to hang out with them one day at this there's a social club downtown Saratoga called the Principessa Society, and they just hang out there and watch the races and bet on their phones and sip a little wine. It's a fantastic time up there. But anyway, Richie DePacio, who unfortunately he passed 2 years ago, but he loved the races. He handicapped and he did the picks for the Sun Sentinel. And my favorite thing, he would have a best bet of the day and a long shot of the day. And usually with his best bet of the day, he'd have a little comment. And one of the days he just loved this horse. And he just gave the comment of, what, you need a building to fall on you? Because that was his favorite expression of how obvious could something be? What do you need to be hit on the head? Have a building fall on you. So rest in peace, Richie. And that is part of the reason why I laid my $2 down on Rich Strike for the Kentucky
very
Derby.
Nice.
Because in honor of
Rich DePacio,
nice. Richie DePacio, we had Rich Strike, and we did strike it rich, or at least cut my losses for the day on Derby Day. I
bring this up for a reason, all right? And the Post now has changed its format, and it's Bobby Bonilla Day, and I'm wondering if this is coincidental, but July 1st, you were thinking if you were going to make some kind of format change in a newspaper, it might come at the first of the month. All right. That's, something that would make some sense.
Second half of the year, at beginning of the third quarter, all these things. Yeah.
They no longer list all the horses. No. And I'm hoping this was a mistake today, but I know it's not. I sense that this is a disaster because Cangelosi's picks, for my money, are semi-worthless, all right? I mean, it's an almost impossible task. Most guys that handicap in a newspaper and or are public handicappers are giving you the chalk in every race. And, it's hard to respect that opinion because it's always the same. right? Which is the three most logical horses are the three that the guy lays out 1, 2, 3, and then you look and the corresponding odds are the lowest in the morning line. So now they're just giving his selections. They've made it easier to read his selections, but no entries.
No agate with all the horses.
Right.
listed.
So
Okay.
I mean, one of my favorite things of getting the Post is suddenly gone up in smoke like all other sports sections.
Okay, you could do one of two things. You could call the New York Post, ask to speak to the sports editor, and
I
they'll
don't
put
think it'll
you
do any
in
good,
some
Mike.
switchboard
Yeah.
and complain like the other septuagenarians and octogenarians who always.
This is a legitimate complaint, though.
Of course it
Michael,
is. You
do I
used
need
to.
this guy's chalk picks? I mean, I need the whole entries. That's what I need.
Okay, so let me give you a little hint because they did this at the Sentinel a while ago. They don't list all the Gulfstream entries anymore.
Such ugliness.
Again, they're reducing the amount of newsprint they need. They're shrinking the amount of space, pages in the whole paper and the sports section. So I got to give you a little tip, though. There's this thing called the internet and Equibase.com. And all you got to do is go
Not
on
the
your
same.
phone.
I could
to
read the paper online. I don't like it.
And
Yeah.
not only do you get all the entries for Belmont, you get all the entries from every racetrack all over the world. Plus,
I'm
if you
aware of that.
click
Yeah, no,
on the horse, you get their past performances.
Not the
it's
same,
an
Michael.
amazing thing.
Not the same
What
as
is
sitting on the
contained
throne in the morning and opening up the newspaper and reading the odds for various sports and whatever they have to say negatively now about Kevin Durant, which they trashed this guy who they were just singing his praises yesterday, and how wonderful he was and how great it was to have him on the team. And now he's a rat. And I would open up and I just peruse the entries and make an imaginary pick 5 and usually eliminate it in the first leg when I watch the races.
The only thing that is constant in this world is change. So you better deal with it and learn how to get your entries on the phone. And I know it's not the same, but that's it. So there's your old man harangue of the day. Can I have my old man harangue sports harangue of the
here's
day?
what you're missing, though, Mike Mayo. It's the same amount of space. It's just that they've, enhanced this guy's meaningless picks and taken the entries out. So it's not like it has no application to, your theory that they're downsizing everything. Same amount of space, but now that's all you get is this guy's 3 selections in every race.
That's pure stupidity. I can't imagine when Saratoga begins, because there are actually a lot of people that pick up the Post
you want to
and
peruse
want
the
to see
entries.
they want to see the whole entries. Remember
Come
the
on.
days when they had like Ray Harrison and they had
they had articles,
track staff, a full
Great.
staff of
Let me get to this Dada thing, though. I mean,
no,
what happened last night?
1 minute. Well, give me 1 minute for my harangue, because this ostensibly still is a sports show, right? So I know,
mix up, mix it up a little bit here.
Okay, no, I'm going to get into Dada. I know we got running out of time, but you were talking about how you're a guy that used to pride yourself. You know which teams were in which conferences and what stadium they played at, and all that's gone out the window. And what really offends me now, all this college, craziness, is like, this is fucking college.
Yeah.
The one thing they should be able to do with all these conferences is get their basic math right? So now you have the Big Ten. They still call it the Big Ten.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know how many teams are currently in the Big Ten?
It's 14,
16, right?
14
Oregon
with 2 pending. Yeah. So the Big 10 is actually the Big 14 about to be the Big 16.
Yes.
So that's like, and you call yourself college? I mean, they should.
Why don't they change that? Yeah.
I don't know. And then you've got the Big 12.
I think that's like
is
8.
actually 10 right now, but there's 4 pending. That's going to be 14. But the good part is that Texas and Oklahoma are leaving. So when that happens in 2025, the Big 12 will actually be the Big 12. And right now, you've got, I didn't even realize that the Pac-10 had changed its name to the Pac-12.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Well, they became 12, yeah.
Now it's going to become back to the Pac-10.
Pac-6.
I give them respect because they actually update the numbers correctly. But the Big 10, I gets the big Doug CFU because just change your numbers. Because if you can't do math, then none of your players deserve any of that, whatever they call that naming.
This just came across, though, Mike. Notre Dame to Conference USA. They've decided to join the conference.
Are they in the ACC or are they still independent with football?
They're half in the ACC and half out. They have 1 foot in the Bayou and 1 foot in New York City.
With football, they have to play like 4 ACC teams a year. They're not officially. And that's
It's called Confuse a Kid, right? I mean, why is math important to an education? Obviously, it's not if you're playing football and trying to figure out what conference you're in.
This plays along with my sourpuss irascible image because my final message is fuck college football. I don't give a shit.
See, there you go, man. I mean, you talk about me being an old out to conquer irascible, lunatic from the past, but geez, Mayo. I mean, you're a better man. I don't get it. Now, what happened, man? What happened? I can't believe this. When you started telling me that this was an atrocity,
I really found that I sent you pictures.
Yeah.
You saw the pictures. All right.
I didn't know what that was, though. It looked like some schmutz. I didn't know where you were.
That was the problem. So,
all
right. I finally made
what
it
was
into.
that?
Did you have the dates? That's the thing Defo said is great. So did you at least go with what they're good?
Let me tell this very quick story in sequential order. And the short answer to the question is yes, I had the dates after I sent back the pasta. So no, me and Dixie were going around handing out some best of Delray Beach certificates. We were visiting restaurants, schmoozing, and we did some eating. And you know us, we go on these crazy binges, and we stopped in. I had a little pizza at a happy hour at a place called Les Sorel. That was
it's the Buster Douglas tour.
Yeah. Well, the Butterbean Buster Douglas tour, and then we went to a place called Cut 432, a nice steakhouse on the Atlantic Avenue. We split a burger because we both wanted to try the burger there. It's one of those pricey burgers. I think it goes for $25. And then we concluded the festivities. I said I want to go to Dada. I keep hearing about it. Defo says it's nice. Again, it's one of those polarizing places that half the people say it's great. It's one of my favorite spots in Delray, and the other half say, it's just kind of okay, mediocre, not worth the price. So I had to finally go in there for myself last night. And me and Dixie went in. First of all, it's a lovely setting. It's an old house, as you mentioned. Yeah. And, a little hot outside. A lot of people, it's a great place for a date. We named it in Best of Delray Beach app as, date night. Great place to take for a date
like the
night.
Outdoor tables, if it's not stifling out.
No, it was stifling yesterday. A lot of people were still sitting outside. We went inside. Inside, lovely decor, nice little bar area up front. I mean, ambiance setting wise, the 5 stars out of 5. And we sit down, and I got myself, their claim to fame is their mojitos. They have all these different types of mojitos.
Yes. I
got myself like a ginger beer mojito that was made with vodka, right up my alley on a very hot, humid day. That came out, lovely drink. We put on our order for food. Dixie got a pork schnitzel because
pork schnitzel.
He went there once before with his wife, and his wife refuses to eat like meat or fried food. So he was jonesing for the pork schnitzel. He said, and that won't let me order this. So he got the pork schnitzel. Nice. And I saw it posted on one of these groups. I think it was either Let's Eat South Florida, my group with 82,000, or the new Best of Delray Beach Facebook group that has 7,000 people. Somebody posted a meal from Dada that had this pappardelle pasta that looked absolutely delicious. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get a plate of that. It's safe. And there was nothing else. I didn't want to get fish. That's way too healthy. We put in the order. And is it a little alarming to you that, some people, they complain that, oh my God, it took 45 minutes and what's going on? This literally, if I put a stopwatch, our food came out no more than 3 minutes after we put in the order.
So weird about too quick. I don't.
And it's like,
what do you think? It was already pre-made? They read your mind?
Yeah, that weird.
I don't know what it was. All I know is this plate of glop that got placed in front of me it looked like it was sitting under a heat lamp. It was just totally glue, overcooked pasta that maybe it had been prepared and somebody canceled an order and it was just sitting up there, and they said, "Oh, next person orders pasta, just send that out."
Yeah.
And I just looked at it. I said, this does not look good. But I dug in. I took one bite, and I was like, no, it's glue. It's just, what's the technical word is dreck or crap or total shit.
It's called Flex Seal. I mean, it's from the Flex Seal family of products. Yeah.
So I don't know if we were talking loudly or what, but the manager, who absolutely a doll, a woman, her name is Avani.
Yeah, the servers are very pleasant there. Very pleasant.
I got to give them props because they heard me kind of dissing it, or the manager came over and she saw I wasn't eating. She goes, how is everything? I said, got to be honest, this is not good. It's totally overcooked, and I don't know how it came out so quick. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Can I get you? I said, no, we've just been eating a lot. I just want to let you know, I don't want anything else. I don't even want you to take it off the bill because I'm not like that. I just want to let you know it's not good. And she was mortified. I don't know if she ever realized who I was. At some point, Dick Steen might have said something like, "Oh,
You know who this man
guy's-"
is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate that. I
You don't
mean,
come to Las Vegas and talk to a man like Mo
I
Green like
never
that.
do that. But next thing I know, she's offering to replace my. I said, "No, I don't want anything else." She goes, "Well, how about can we bring you the dates?" Because we were talking about how
Ooh,
I was
nice.
mentioning about how
All right.
you love the dates and everybody raising. She goes, "Let me bring out a plate of dates," and I said, "Okay, that's fine. I'll try the dates." And she did that, and I like them.
All right.
The only thing
I thought you were going to diss the dates on top.
no,
of
I
it.
mean,
only
Dick Steen was
one thing they screw up
Dick
a dish.
Steen was dissing the dates. Dick Steen
Dissing
does
them?
not like the
Wow.
place.
I thought they were
But
delicious.
I
Really good.
like them. They're wrapped in the bacon. The one thing that kind of is a little bit it kind of struck me. It confused me because I had those little bits on top. I thought it was mango. I thought it was like a fruit with
No,
the
it's like
dates.
cheese.
It's manchego cheese, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yes,
if you're
that's it.
thinking it's going to be sweet fruit, and it's actually crumbly like cheese.
Great taste, though.
I loved it. I thought it was
Yeah.
great because they have that other like gastrique, that sweet, like it's not honey, but they made it out of some fruit gastrique, which is a sweet sauce that, so I thought that was a good dish. I
was
did
very
like
good.
the dates. And, we ended up, look, this Avani couldn't have been better in terms of a manager and managing
So
a
she
situation.
kind of smoothed over the
And then
situation.
next
You
thing
might
I
go back.
know, the
Yeah.
chef is coming out. His name is
wow.
Daniel, and he looks and goes, "Hey, Mike Mayo," and I said,
He knew
"Yeah."
you.
He goes,
"Oh wow."
He used to work at a bar called Death or Glory, which I liked a lot, and he was there under another chef. And the two of them would have this very kind of innovative vegan menu, and they did these like chickpea fritters, or they did all kinds of vegan stuff, and I really liked the food there. And he comes out and he apologized. He says that dish shouldn't have been sent out. He was like that was overcooked, and he brings me out a full bag of another. He said, "We just made this fresh. We bagged it up to go. Bring it home. It's on the house." And
wow.
when I got home, I opened it up. I took a bite. It was much better. It
Oh,
was,
good. Okay.
It was good.
All right.
So, all right, even though
Good story. They made amends.
and again, it's a place that I could see why people like it a lot. And it's just that, it has great decor, and that you couldn't ask for better management service because they ended up, taking off the, pasta from our dish. They comped us the dates, and he gave a replacement order of a better prepared pasta. Now, they know it's me and who I am, blah, blah, blah. But I just think they tried to make it right. And
Yes.
that to me goes a long, long way, because
I'm with you.
to
I feel
err
good
is
about this.
human and to forgive
Yeah.
is divine. So Sourpuss Mayo ended up being
Yeah,
happy.
has done a 180 on Dada.
And will I go back? Yeah, I'll go back there. I'm not necessarily going to say it's the best restaurant in Delray, but I could see why it has its following.
All right, you got to warm up now. I hope you have an athletic suit there, some kind of sweatshirt or something that you can start doing some laps around the
But
the
here's
pool.
the thing, Defo.
Yeah.
If you want to see me out at our favorite parimutuel facility plunging away
Then
later
I
this
can't
afternoon,
go with the over here.
this might kill me. But,
Well,
if
good.
you
Yeah.
want, for the sake of our art and entertainment,
It's up to you. I can't force
Oh,
you.
I
to do
what
want
do we
that.
have? This
over
is why I
under
need.
6 and a hook. If you hit the over, our bet's off.
Yeah.
And what if I go under? I can't have.
If you go under, then you buy us a round of dates at Dada in addition.
we keep our
I'll
bet
throw in
as-
the bottle of
as-
wine, at
and you'll
the
go a little
makeup.
bit higher than we were planning.
Right.
Okay.
We'll go Dutch to
Sounds
Dada.
fair.
as
I'm going
dates.
out to Publix to buy the buns right now.
Get
Is there
some
a
Wonder
particular
Bread
kind
buns.
of buns that we need, like that makes it official? I got to find like the thinnest. least
Wonder Bread.
caloric-
No, you need Wonder Bread, official Wonder Bread buns on this.
See, I really like the Martin's potato rolls, but those are very
No,
filling
nothing
and
fancy.
heavy.
I mean, straight up Wonder Bread, white buns,
Yeah, just
and
snake buns.
no Publix brand or store bought brand Wonder Bread.
Cheapy
has
shit
to be.
buns.
I could slam down 7 dogs alone with no.
I don't
no
think so.
problem, but
I'm
with
gonna
the
say
buns,
under.
That's
You need
going to
the
be a
bun.
little tricky.
7
Under
dogs,
6 and a
no
hook.
water.
Yeah, no
6
water.
and a hook. I say you go over, and our bet's over. I actually have faith in you.
Oh
Defo's
my God, this is
under.
going to be
So
disgusting.
I'm going to grill up a pack of Hebrew National hot dogs, and
Right.
again, that's noon on the lunchbox, and it's going to
This
be
is going to
best
be wild.
to
Yeah.
be watched on the South Florida.
Now, do we
Live
start with
channel.
that or finish with that? That's the thing, because
I think it comes in the middle.
Fail,
I think it's a
Segment,
second segment.
Second
is
segment.
definitely
All right.
it. Yeah,
we'll
because
go 10 minutes.
Yep.
We'll put a stopwatch on it, and you'll
I'll
have 10
have my
minutes.
plate of
Right.
freshly grilled hot dogs.
We'll
And,
do play-by-play.
and
All right.
They'll be a little bit lukewarm,
here.
not too hot. Yeah.
Joey Chestnut, watch out. Mayo. Mayo is calling you out. All right. Thanks, Michael. We'll look forward to that. Get ready for that. I mean, get some rest. And we'll see you guys at 12 o'clock here on South Florida Live with Mike Mayo doing his best to eat 7 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
Yes.
No soaking of the buns, which I think really adds a degree of difficulty to this that makes it prohibitive. Then I'll hit the over. If you want to get involved in the action, feel free. Where can people do it? They call Lubie 954. Do we give that number
Don't
out?
give my number. 954-417-0070. Yeah, you can text us there if you want to try and take action.
Over under 6 and a hook. Mike Mayo, 10 minutes stopwatch time.
Yes.
On Mike Mayo's lunchbox. Can he do it in honor of the 4th of July hot dog eating contest, where the record, I think, stands at like 74 or something like that?
Yeah, I think he got up to 70-something.
It's like ridiculous. Joey Chestnut, who we've talked to on the air, and you know what? Very interesting philosophical position that he takes on this whole idea of competitive eating. And that's the other part of it. It's competitive. This will be just Mayo, one-on-one, solo, trying to eat 7 hot dogs.
Yep. 7 should be easy.
You know what? The way he eats, though, I mean, listen what he did last night. He was at one restaurant, then he went to another place, split a burger. Like a $25 burger's got to be like a large burger, no?
Yes.
So half of one of those is probably the equivalent of eating like 3 cheeseburgers at McDonald's.
Yeah, it's a quarter-pound burger, which usually fills most grown adults up.
And then he goes and eats again.
Yes. Well, he went to get a plate of pasta. Like, I thought he'd go and get the dates because he's already eaten all day. He then went and got the heaviest dish at the end.
Right. I mean, most people get a dish of pasta they can't eat for another 2 days, you know?
Exactly.
And then Mayo goes somewhere at night. So maybe, we're underestimating this kid. I think we might be selling him short.
What do you mean? Sarnie was at my trivia last night. Ken
I didn't want to lose that dinner, though. We worked hard for that.
I know. Well, he's not going to do it. But I just think he can. So,
oh, no, it's definitely possible. I think we made the number too low. All right, we'll see. At lunchtime, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, 12 o'clock, the continuation of this story. We had a great time being with you, and you guys all enjoy a happy 4th of July. We'll be off that day. And Lubie will join you while I'm theoretically going to be in Atlantic City, New Jersey on Tuesday for my birthday, where that number's blinking on the board there, 71. Boom, boom, boom. There's a steward's inquiry. We will see you on Tuesday with more on South Florida Live, including Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, which airs every day from noon until 1 o'clock. And I would imagine we'll be adding more programming in very short order. So stick around as the thing grows. And thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Spread the word. Until next time, we're going to say have a great weekend as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.